don't assume to know, and I have to remind myself of this too, what the Seahawks are going to do. I constantly have to remind myself I have no idea what this team is going to do, and I can't assume to know the meaning behind a move that they make, and this is what I mean. Saying, hey, the Seahawks are going to extend Geno, they want to extend Geno, does not mean the Seahawks will not take a quarterback in the draft. It does not mean the Seahawks think Geno is the long-term future. I mean, how could they? He's going to be turning 35. Even if he, knock on wood for him, reaches a higher ceiling and continues to play, that's great. You still have to get a quarterback just as a backup plan, just as someone to have there, because that room is pretty shallow. I think that there's some false equivalence being drawn, Bump, for some fans, and that's where the frustration's from. It's not from a place of like, I hate Geno. It's just that fans want to feel like their team cares about being better. And for them, if Geno isn't good enough, they're like, well, what are you doing?
What are you doing? They're gonna address this. I think they're going to draft a quarterback. At least that's what I feel, and that's what I think I've heard through the grapevine, is that they're looking to draft a quarterback. It's just that you don't take 2 steps backwards with this talent. I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday. DK Metcalf, you extend him, he's here. JSN. Ernest Jones, sounds like they're going to extend him. Leo Williams, Witherspoon, Reek. I mean, come on. Now there's an opportunity for this team. You are 1 game away from making the playoffs. You were 1 horrible interception for a pick 6 by Geno Smith from having an extra win on your record and going to the playoffs.
1 Giants loss
away. 1
away.
Giants loss. Like, why are we painting a picture that Geno was so bad that this team is nowhere near being a playoff team?
It came down to a 5th tiebreaker.
What are y'all doing? Like, look across the league. Look across the league and you tell me, do you want to be the Jets? Do you want to be the Browns? Would you like to be the Saints? The Panthers, I guess, look better towards the end of the season. Would you want to be the Tennessee Titans? How about the Las Vegas Raiders? Don't forget the New York Football Giants. Like, we gotta understand where we are in the development of this team. I'm not saying that this team is perfect and ready to go. There are no perfect teams. The most perfect team, close to perfection I've seen was this year with Philly and the balance that they had. Crazy to watch. But to sit here and act like this team is so far from being a playoff team, it's ridiculous to me. And if you were to bring in a rookie quarterback, and I pointed out yesterday, over the past 10 years, there have been 10 rookie quarterbacks to take your team to the playoffs. It is possible. Do you really want to play that game? Do you really want to roll the dice there? No, sir. You got a quarterback who can hold it down for the next couple of years, and I think he can still grow. There's more left in Geno, I believe. And you bring somebody in and develop. Like, I don't understand why that's so hard for people to jump aboard on or with. Yeah. But you do what you do. If you want to live in this stressful, hey, Geno, get rid of him, then you're going to be miserable, because I think my man is going to have a good year, and he should be the quarterback he deserved and earned it. Well,
and I think I'm just fundamentally looking at it as I think anyone should, as a team sport. Any critique of Geno is also critique of the team. A critique of the team also must be a critique of Geno, because a quarterback's supposed to elevate his team. But for someone saying he lost to the Giants, the Seahawks defense, which I had a lot of faith in towards the end of the year, allowed almost 180 rushing yards to the Giants. You know what I mean? Like that. This was a team issue.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
he was sacked 7 times that game.
Yes, and thankfully, this defense continued to improve. This was prior to I believe, the Ernest Jones trade, I think. I feel good about the direction the defense is moving in, but this was a game, and I remember because I had a week of shows after it in which we were talking about the run defense, in which we were talking about the offensive line. So there are areas where Geno must improve, and even if Geno was solid, if they had won a Super Bowl with Geno, I'd still say you should probably take a quarterback somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, add to that room, do something. And Benjamin Solak said that with us. He was like, age is a cliff. Everyone looks great until suddenly he doesn't. Like, that's just what happens with quarterbacks. But it is not because I look at Geno and go, wow, what a bad quarterback. You cannot win with this quarterback. Right. I think this team needs to improve in a couple places to contend.
Yeah, you got to improve with the offensive line. Defensively, I think they are getting better. They ended the season on such a high note. I think that you have to improve with trying to run the football and creating space to run the football. That's why you let go of Ryan Grubb. You bring over Kubiak. They are making the necessary moves so far to improve this team, right? I think Kubiak coming over is a step one. You got 2 offensive line guys that are going to help with the run game. Now it's, what are you going to do with the personnel on the offensive line? There's still time for these guys to grow. And even once they do make those moves, maybe you draft a guy, you bring over a free agent, you still got to get through OTAs. You still got to get through training camp. You still got to start the season and get over the bumps and bruises that you're going to have. No team is going to be perfect unless you're the Chiefs all the way down towards the end of the season and you take an L or two. There's a process to this, and I'm okay with where the process is right now. I think so far the moves that they have been able to make, you're moving in the right direction. Now it's, are you going to keep a weapon in DK Metcalf? Now, how long are you going to extend Geno? Now it's, are you going to get a offensive lineman and free agent? There's some things that they have to do, and it can't be rushed. And I think that's the problem, too, is that people want it all right now. Let's go right now. That's not the way this thing works, man. If you have watched enough Seahawks games, you understand where they're hurting. You understand where their strengths are. And I think you should understand that Geno was not the big problem with this. Did he throw interceptions? Yes, okay? I'm not going to ignore that. I can also give you a real analysis on every interception that he threw and really break it down to you. But to the untrained eye, all you see is the ball going into the other player's hands, and I respect that. And some of those decisions were his mistakes. Got to own it. But there are a lot that were attributed to offensive line and receiver play.
Jeremy in the 253, I don't think we're so low on Geno as a quarterback. We've just been, as a team, mediocre for the last 8 to 9 years. Geno's great, but he's not a Super Bowl quarterback, and at this point, he's never won a playoff game. I think what fans want, and what I would want, is to have upside, to have someone young, something fresh. Maybe you can get to the Super Bowl, but something that's not the same old thing that we've seen for the last 8 to 9 years.
I don't think you're going to see the same old thing. I think with the change at offensive coordinator, and I'm not mad at that take. I understand that, too. You're like, all right, well, we've seen the best of Geno. That quote or that text that you just read makes me think that he thinks you've seen the best of Geno. Yeah. And if you believe that, then I understand. And this team has been mediocre as a team over the past X amount of seasons. We've seen years where the offense was one of the best in the game, but the defense hasn't been balling, right? That's part of the reason why Pete Carroll isn't here. But no, if you think Geno is tapped out and this is it for him, then I understand that perspective. But I also think that look at the pieces that are around him right now. Bringing over a rookie is not going to make this team better. Unless you find a Jaden Daniels, a Brock Purdy, and you want to gamble and roll the dice like that, which some people like to do, then maybe you do find him. But I don't think that guy is out there right now. And I think there's more left in Geno, so that's why my perspective is a bit different.
I'll throw in, while we didn't kind of mean to come in with this, I think the point of the conversation is Mike Macdonald and the Seahawks are tired of being asked about it. The question really about Geno is not whether or not Geno will be here. He will. It's whether or not the Seahawks should take a quarterback in the draft. It's how much they should pay Geno, right? Those are the questions that should be having had. But I will say, on the subject of paying a veteran, I think people think, well, I'm associating paying a veteran, especially if that veteran isn't elevating us the way Josh Allen can, with limiting your roster in some ways. And I do think that there is fairness to that. The Seahawks are in a weird cap situation, but that's also where you need to turn to your draft. And that's also where you need to turn to those surprises. And that's also where you need, hey, can you get a massive year from Zach Charbonnet, who's on a rookie deal? Hey, can you get Laumea, Olu, someone on your offensive line? Like, you need some return in your draft classes with that.
You do, and I think you still can get that. I think Laumea has a good opportunity to be the guy at the guard position. We still waiting to see what Christian Haynes is doing. They moved him to center. And, like they're still trying to develop these pieces. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. You got to get a veteran, and you have to draft an offensive lineman as well. I think this is where the 12s are just jaded a bit because they saw Russell Wilson, a third-round pick, come in here and be the guy that he was. But why was he that guy? Mainly because of that defense he had over there. If you put Russell Wilson, third-round pick from back then, on this team right now with this offensive line and the defense before it ended the way that it did, I don't think he's having the success. That just showed you how much needs to go right. A team game. This is the ultimate team game. Nobody goes both ways unless you're Travis Hunter and you're trying to do that in the NFL, okay? No one plays offense, defense, and special teams. You got 3 different units. More than that if you break down the special teams units. You need everyone clicking. So Geno is that type of quarterback that needs everything to click. You know who else was that quarterback? Jalen Hurts, and he just got himself a Super Bowl. You got a complete team, you give yourself a chance.
You know what else I'll say about Russell Wilson is just a final thing before we get to headline rewrites? He would not be a third-round pick if he were drafted in 2025, 2024.
No.
Like, I'm not saying he would have been the first quarterback off the board. Absolutely not. But the year is 2012. I know that doesn't feel like a long time ago, but we were talking not just about mobile quarterbacks, but about undersized quarterbacks in very, very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
We would be having a fundamentally different conversation about Russell Wilson. People were worried he's not even 5'11", and you're telling me he's mobile, but can he be a pocket passer? Those conversations have changed fundamentally in the 12, 13 years since.
First overall pick a couple years ago was about 5'9".
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, that idea of, I think people are better at evaluating quarterback talent today, and I don't think it's as common to find exceptionally talented quarterbacks late, with rare exceptions that do exist, but they are so rare you can name all of them right now in your head, and that's probably what you're doing. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the NFL will use Hawkeye technology to measure first downs in 2025. What's the real headline?
How many of those will be by tush push? Obviously, it's not a joke. It's just that there are a lot of things being evaluated by the competition committee this offseason by the NFL to see if they're going to implement it in 2025. Not only am I fascinated to see what we do with first downs, but are there a tush push? Do we change overtime rules? That's going to be a later headline.
I like the experimentation with changing the game. Say they take the tush push away. Even though I don't agree with it, I'm not mad at people trying to improve the game, even if I don't think it's an improvement, it's whatever. But I'm okay with all this change. The first thing I thought about when I saw the Hawkeye technician, I thought, what about good old Papa Joe on the sideline and chain gang? What about the chain gang and Papa Joe? They're still going to be there.
Where are they going to go?
Right? Because I just see just a 60-year-old man with a gray beard and him and the squad getting the chain gang together. But they will be secondary. If something goes wrong, they will still be there. What's interesting about this whole situation is that they're using cameras. So the NFL has the money to put cameras in all these positions so they can really make sure that they spot the ball perfectly. What this also made me think about, there are some games where there aren't any cameras in the pylons. And the NFL's excuse was, it's just too expensive. But now you're going to drop like 4 or 5 more cameras to spot the ball. Come on, NFL, get your lives right. But I like this. I want it to flourish. I hope it works out great because Papa Joe and them be getting a lot of flack. And these referees get a lot of flack, man. So let's try to be as accurate as possible.
I think that there's going to be a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of centers really sad that they can't move the ball forward a little bit when they hand it back or like when the ref tries to spot it. There's just a skill that's going to be eliminated from those O-linemen now.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number two, 49ers GM John Lynch says they have begun extension talks with Brock Purdy and will respect Deebo Samuel's wishes to be traded. What's the real headline?
Yeah, I can think of 60 million reasons they'd need to be comfortable moving on from Deebo. That Brock Purdy contract, not going to be cheap.
I'm trying to figure out what his value is. Now, most of this is timing, right? And the timing of it says he should be getting about $50 to $55 million. I'm looking at Kyler Murray, who's getting $46 million. Kirk Cousins is getting $45 million. And then he's not as talented as Justin Herbert, but he's getting $52 million. But he has more success than all three of these guys already. So he has to be around the $55 million. That is one of the biggest come-ups in NFL history. The last pick in the draft to making over $50 million a year, and he's earned it. Even if you don't think he's as good as Pat, as good as Joe, as good as Lamar Jackson or Allen, yeah, he's probably not as talented, but he holds value to this team. He's taken this team to a conference championship, to a Super Bowl as well. You go to a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
taking the team to a Super Bowl.
Lost in overtime.
He's done things that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have not done. So he needs to get his bag. Great come up for Brock Purdy.
Am I misremembering, or was Brock Purdy not also the first Mr. Irrelevant to throw like a forward pass in a game? Like, I mean,
that sounds right.
If you want to talk about like the obstacles he's overcome and the history he's setting, forget the money he's about to make, forget the Super Bowl appearance. I think that there was a Mr. Irrelevant, I think the kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unless I'm mistaken, in 2020, but to appear in a Super Bowl. But I mean, what he is doing is unprecedented. And you can look at the pieces around him. You can look at Kyle Shanahan and you can think like, oh, what's he really doing? But it's still an amazing story. And look, selfishly, for Seahawks fans, I'd love for them to have to invest in their quarterback and pay in their quarterback they have less money to add to those position groups, because there was a while when they just had weapons for days.
Headline Rewrite.
Someone said Papa Joe, proud father of Lil Bobby.
Hello, Bobby.
Papa Joe, Lil Bobby. Headline number 3, NFL executive Troy Vincent says it's time to rethink the league's regular season overtime rules. What's the real headline?
Look, I know we love hating on NFL brass, but you're not going to hear anyone complain about more football. This is actually, I think, a good idea, Bump, and I'll throw this stat your way from ESPN. Since 2011, this has especially changed since 2017. I don't know if offenses are just more efficient or what. Receiving teams now win the game nearly 60% of the time in the regular season.
Yeah, score that touchdown. Rhapsody to the basement. I like this. I love the college overtime because you always have a chance. You're not leaving it up to the other team. If they score, then you're out of this thing. That's what I love about it. The thing I don't like about the college football overtime is they're too close to the end zone. Like, back them up a bit. Put them on the 40 or something like that. If they were to adopt something like that, I'd be all for it because you want your superstar quarterbacks to show what they can do, to make their $50 million. Okay, imagine Mahomes and Allen or Mahomes and Lamar going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Man, I don't care how long the game takes, man. That will provide some drama, and it will leave it up to the players to decide what's going on, and not just one side of the ball. So I'm here for this. I'm even out here for the college overtime rules. Just back them up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. What, they on the 20, 25? Too close.
Yeah, I'm very, very okay with this. I like the change that's been made to the postseason. Also, you fundamentally have to make that change to the postseason. There were too many games where Josh Allen never got a chance. Patrick Mahomes never got a chance. Like, these superstars, the reason you're watching this game well into overtime, you want to see what they can do, and then they don't get a shot.
Yeah.
Why not extend that to the regular season? And I was trying to rack my mind and think if there was a Seahawks game that ended because an opposing team recently. There obviously have been, but I was trying to think of recent examples of a Seahawks game regular season that ended in overtime when an opposing team scored a touchdown first. And I couldn't, unless someone can remind me of one. The Rams didn't possess the ball first. Now, the conversation with the Seahawks was, should you have gone for it on 4th and inches? 4th and 1. And then Curtis, thanks for this one. Trip down memory lane reminded me of the overtime loss to the Raiders here in Seattle 2 years ago. Josh Jacobs. And then you know what I did? I looked up the video. I shouldn't have done it, but
it was a simple zone. The Raiders blocked that so beautifully. I was in the south end zone watching it go down. And as soon as he touched the ball, I saw bodies on bodies, and I just turned away and got ready for the postgame.
The worst part about it is that he breaks free at the 30. They were pretty deep.
Yeah.
And so, for the last 45 yards, the game's over. But he's still running. So you're just watching knowing that it's done. The worst.
I scored
feeling.
a touchdown one time in college that was 83 yards. And I knew I was going to make it around the 30-yard line. I'm clowning, I'm yelling, I'm talking to myself. I could imagine what Josh Jacobs was doing in that moment.
You have to be a different mindset to be an athlete. Did you ever think, what if I drop the ball?
Nah, heck no.
No, I see. That's the thing. Not the same. We are not the same. I'd be getting to the 40-yard line like, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. And then I'd do the Daniel Jones turf monster got me moment.
Yeah, I'm clowning. I'm talking, you know what.
Turning
to
back.
nobody, just to myself. Can't nobody touch you. You're the realest out here.
Now you got this. Oh, God. Everyone's been talking about Geno Smith when they should be talking about who or what. What's the real question about this Seahawks offseason? That's next.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Our opportunity to sit down with the catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Is this the ceiling, or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You look at striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. Even the catching side of it, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and you also don't want to lose the things you're good at.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Stream every Seattle sports show with the Seattle Sports app. Brought to you by Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. Get new videos, podcasts, and articles on the Seahawks and Mariners from your favorite Seattle sports personalities daily.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Brock and Saul all this week from 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just a bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate Greg Nunn from Nunn Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office. And I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, look, Corbin Smith reported from the Combine that Mike McDonald is kind of sick and tired of being asked questions about Geno Smith. So we'll take your word for it, Mike, and we will talk about more important things. So if everyone's been talking about whether Geno's going to be here, what's the thing we should instead be talking about? Basically, this question is meant to ask you, what is the single biggest question about the Seahawks offseason? Everyone's talking about Geno, but they should be talking about what, Bump? We got a couple possible answers here.
Yeah, you should be talking about, and Seattle Sports did a great job at a promo of this thing the other day, Ernest Jones. Where is Ernest? Ernest, hopefully you're chilling somewhere with your family. You're nice and relaxed. You're talking to your agent, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to end up in Seattle. He had the biggest impact, him and Leo, the biggest impact on this defense last year when Ernest Jones figured it out. I've told this story before. His first game, I got my binoculars. I'm in the press box, and I zone in on players every now and then. I zone in on Ernest, and I'm looking at his body language because ball players know when they're confident or when they're second-guessing themselves. And I remember him looking at dots and looking to his left a few times, like, double-checking. We good? We good? Okay, boom, ready to go. So then I give him a few games, and now he's got the green dot. Dotson is gone. I zoom in on my guy, and there is no question. Now he's telling guys what to do and getting the defense locked in and ready to go. As soon as I saw that, combined with his play, he was probably the most for sure tackler on this defense in open space. I said, yep, we found our guy for the next 4 or 5 years. You have to sign Ernest Jones. That is priority number one, other than the Geno and DK extensions. If we're talking about just free agents, you got to look at Ernest.
All right. You can join this conversation on the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776. Everyone's been talking about Geno when it comes to the Seahawks, but they should be talking about... will any players of the 2022 class be holdouts? Now, this is a conversation that is going to extend into training camp. This is not something we're going to know for many, many months, but they need to decide which players from this 2022 class, Ken Walker, Reek Woolen, Charles Cross, they're going to extend. Some stuff they need to figure out with their books before they do any of this, but like, let's say that there's a world where they do not give an extension to Reek Woolen. And we head into the end of July and head into training camp, and there's no Reek Woolen. Now, I'm not saying that like Reek would do this. This is just an example because I think that Reek Woolen is exceptionally talented. You'd want to give him an extension, but also a harder decision than would be Charles Cross. Who's replacing Charles Cross? You know, whereas you could think like, well, could I find another corner? So that's something that I'm like, look, I get why we're not talking about it now, but there's a number of extensions for young players that this team is going to need to decide on. And not everyone's going to get one, but that doesn't mean that those guys aren't going to be imperative to this team's success. So how do you navigate that?
Well, you got to have honest conversations and not disrespect players when you talk about their worth. Here's what helped the Seahawks with the Reek Woolen situation is that he didn't have the year he had his rookie season. If he were coming off of that rookie season year, it'd be a different conversation. He'd be sitting there with 3 chains on talking about y'all paying for one of these. You know, it'd be a totally different situation for Reek. So
I would too, frankly.
Unfortunately for Reek, but fortunate for the Seahawks, he didn't have this monster year. But you have to address the man correctly. You're not going to find a Reek Woolen out there. If you're looking at the depth of the corner position, not very deep. You got Josh Jobe over there. Then you got Trey Brown. I mentioned Nehemiah Pritchett, my guy Bump Cooper Jr., whose real name is what? You remember his real name? Ryan. We got to have a conversation about Bump. We'll talk about that. You're not very deep. This used to be one of the deeper positions. We're looking at Artie. We're looking at DJ James and Pritchett, the guys that they drafted. I think either way it goes, they're going to draft a corner. I think the corner position in Seattle is like the running back position. You can almost guarantee that they are going to draft a running back or a corner. But because of the injuries, right, I'm looking at just the depth chart right now and how this season ended. You got Reek, who's questionable, Trey Brown, who's questionable, Josh Jobe, who was activated from practice squad, he's questionable. You're just not as deep as you used to be. But I feel like you need and want a Reek Woolen on your squad.
Yeah.
Long arms, long legs, fast, good ball skills. Even though there were a couple of times we felt like he didn't attack it, we know what this young man can do when he's healthy and when he's locked in. You got to make that happen.
Yeah, can't just find guys like that. Everyone's talking about Geno Smith, but they should be talking about what when it comes to the Seahawks? Who or what, I should say. 866-979-3776. The most popular answer by far on the Mac and Jacks text line is everyone's talking about Geno. They should be talking about the offensive line. Absolutely. Maybe the answer then for that, that person is they should be talking about whether or not they take a guard at 18. Do you overdraft a guard for the first time ever?
That's such a tricky one because we've gone back and forth with what we think John Schneider believes and the approach that they've made in the past in the draft and what they have done recently. In the past, John Schneider said, look, we made the mistake of just drafting for need and not just for the best player out there. It started with Devin Witherspoon. That was a draft for the best player available on their draft board. They go out and do that. And then Byron Murphy, we felt like it was a 2-for-1. Like he probably was the best player available, and you needed a defensive lineman. So the question going into this one is, how are you going to attack this? Because everyone and their mama know that you need an offensive lineman, a guard specifically. So are you going to go best player? If you go best player at 18, you're probably not going to go with a guard. You're going to get a different position. But that would tell me that they're going to obviously draft one later, but bring in a veteran to help this offensive line. That's the biggest question for me and for everyone, right? What are you going to do at 18? Is it the best player? Is it a guard?
I have another one for you. Do you have another one, though?
I'm with you on all this right here. I'm looking at.
Okay, then I'm going to throw this your way.
All right.
Everyone's been talking about Geno, but they should be talking about what you have to do if you move on from Noah Fant and Dre Jones. So we've discussed a little bit, Bump, the potential cap casualties for Noah Fant and Dre Jones, but we haven't really talked about what that means. Like if I'm going to say Dre Jones could be a cap casualty, anyways, moving on. Well, wait a minute. What's it mean for your defensive line? He's a starter.
Yeah, a starter and getting paid a lot of money on that defensive line as well. So what that means is if you were to move on from a Dre Jones, that means you need one of these younger guys to step up. That means you also need to re-sign a name that we're going to talk about here soon, I believe. But you need Cam Ward. You need Roy Robinson Harris. You need Mike Morris to get healthy. He's been banged up the last couple of seasons. You need a young guy to step up. Again, you're going to address this position. The draft is crazy because you are going to address most parts of your team. You're going to address the D-line at some point. You're going to address even a linebacker at some point, but it's the importance of that address. Like the earlier it is, the more urgency you have at that position. So if you were not to re-sign a Dre Jones, I think that there's enough there to slot a guy into the starting position. But of course, you're going to look into the draft and maybe late and try to find yourself a diamond in the rough.
All right. Let's see what else we got. Some last ones here. Everyone's talking about Geno Smith, but they should be talking about safety Jay Love.
He's good. He's locked in.
Yeah.
He just signed a deal.
You know what I will say, though, just as a preview, coming up at 11:45, the Seahawks have been linked to 2 defensive backs at the Combine, including another Kobe Bryant.
Love it.
There's so many Kobe Bryants.
Not enough Kobe's in this
Not
world.
enough Kobe's. So at 11:45, obviously, Bump and I will be diving into the depth in that defensive back room. Do you need to add? Where do you have some question marks? Where can this group go from here? So just as a heads up, we will be talking about that room. Coming up next, though, we've got Seahawks reporter John Boyle joining us at 11 from the Combine. He was at Mike McDonald's interview. He's going to tell us what he heard there. And then before we get to that, I just wanted to have like a positive Thursday. We have spent so much time talking about what the Seahawks offense needs. We just did a little bit of it here. Interior alignment, a fullback, maybe another tight end. But I want to have some fun. So I want to have some fun talking about a potentially great marriage, what it could look like between Clint Kubiak and Geno Smith. Bump, you're going to help us with this. We're going X's and O's here. What does Kubiak's past tell us about the future of the Hawks offense? That's next.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball.
Our goal really is to come out of spring training and to play that consistent brand of baseball from beginning to end.
Go behind the scenes with Brock and Salk as the Seattle Mariners get ready for the 2025 season. All this week from 6 to 10.
What a masterful performance by the big right-hander Logan Gilbert.
And hear every pitch of spring training baseball on Seattle Sports. Streaming on the Seattle Sports app.
Holy smokes.
Well, one of the best parts of being at spring training is seeing how physically impressive the professional athletes are up close. It's Mike Salk here, and coming off a long off season with something to prove, it's so clear these guys are in peak physical condition after months of hard work. Now, us regular folk may not have quite the same resources, time, or money to devote to our diet and exercise. But what if I told you you could be in the best shape of your life, just like some of these guys are, in only 45 days? That's all it takes after losing almost a pound a day with the help of Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It worked for me, 10 pounds in the first week, 35 pounds after just 8 short weeks. I felt healthy. I was eating delicious, fresh meals, no pills, no injections, didn't even need to exercise. Find out if you can do it. A 15-minute call is all it takes. No obligation. Schedule it right now at eastsideweightlossklinik.com. You got nothing to lose other than all that extra weight. Go to eastsideweightlossklinik.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now boarding Group A. Please have your boarding passes ready to scan. If your phone is cracked, old, or was chewed up by your Chihuahua travel companion, please refrain from holding up the line. We ask that you kindly not be that guy, and instead simply go to Verizon and trade in any phone from their top brands in any condition on any unlimited plan for the new Samsung Galaxy S25 with Galaxy AI.
With new line on my plan. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as... That's 888-665-0696.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's first tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Sunday, March 2nd at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on seattlesports.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Seahawks reporter John Boyle joining us in about 15 minutes from the Combine. He was at Mike McDonald's press conference yesterday. Obviously, there's always off-podium conversations with these guys, so curious to get some insight from John before he joins us. Bump, I wanted to take a very much glass-half-full approach to the Seahawks offense. We have spent so much time since Clint Kubiak was hired, since the season ended. I would say, since we heard about Ryan Grubb talking about, well, what are all the pieces that this offense needs? And I don't know that during this time of the year when it's just slow sports calendar, I can handle another conversation about how badly they need offensive line help or about, whether or not you add wide receiver 3 if Lockett moves on. I just want to have a fun conversation about potential.
Yeah.
I just want to have a conversation about whether Clint Kubiak and Geno Smith could be a match made in heaven. This is inspired by some sound from Mike McDonald, who was on with NFL Network, and he thinks that they're an absolutely great pairing. He said he's really excited to work with Geno in Kubiak's offense.
Yeah, really excited about Geno. I think all the things that Clint's able to do, the progression reads, and then a lot of the action game and movements, keeping him, different launch points in the pocket, getting the ball out of his hands on time and to our guys. And that's just going to be a lot of fun to work through it and see how we build it and see where it goes.
So I saw this clip, I liked it, and I thought, I know an analyst who can break this down for me. It's Michael Bumpus. So let's dive in. Why are you potentially excited to see this?
For some of the reasons that Coach just mentioned. He said the progression reads. And what I love about progression reads, right, there are some offenses where it's like, all right, well, according to this pre-snap look, this is where you're going to go with the football. There's some offenses that are like that, and there are some that after the ball is snapped, you go through your progressions, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, maybe a check down, or 1 to 2, 3, check down, high to low. So progression reads just makes it so much simpler for a quarterback. I know, no matter what, especially when you're in like a play-action offense and you're booting to the left or whatnot, I know where my eyes are going right now. Say we're going fake zone right, you're booting to the left. Typically, you're going to have something in the flat right now. You're going to have something intermediate around 10 to 12, maybe 15 yards, and then you're going to have a deep look, and then you have your shot backside. So you come out there, boom, I know where my eyes are going. I'm going flat to intermediate to deep to backside. It just makes it easier for a quarterback. Still hard to execute because this is the NFL, but I like that for Geno because a lot of the times in Grubb's offense, it seemed like he was getting back there and he's waiting for the defense to develop, and then he's taking a shot, so he's throwing the football. He still needs to know what the defense is doing. It's not like, I don't care about the coverage. Yeah. I'm just going to go out there and play some ball. No, it's going to help you kind of anticipate where you're going with the football. But when you have progressions, there's a system that works for you.
I think that when you have the Seahawks, you've gone through a couple offensive coordinators now in a few years. Geno's been through several offensive coordinators, now 3, I think, with Seattle, right? He was with Waldron, so yeah. Waldron, Grubb, now on his 3rd, just with one team. That's regardless of the offensive coordinators, the many he's worked with before them. I think you get into this spot where you go, God, I don't want to be excited until I know that I can. Like, I don't want to buy in to a not proven commodity, but you saw some really good stuff, particularly in the first 2 weeks from Clint Kubiak. You've seen good stuff with him as OC for the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. You could argue Geno's the best quarterback that he's going to work with out of the last year's version of Derek Carr and then Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
There's real potential.
Kurt tore it up.
He did.
Kurt tore it up. And that was the.
But why can't Geno tear it up?
I mean, he can. I think he can. And with Kirk, they threw the ball a lot more than
they
ran it. Yeah. And with the Saints, and I think that was out of necessity, right?
Yeah.
But I'm excited to match Geno up with Kubiak because I feel like the run game has to and will be an emphasis. There's no way Mike McDonald is going to hire a guy that he's not sure about when it comes to the run game after him and Grubb having their differences on how to attack. So the run game is going to be number one. Connected to the run game, you have to get your running backs just to get downhill. And I think Ken Walker, after having the year that he had when there were times where he got downhill, but there are a lot of times where he's looking for the big cutback, the big boom, he's going to watch that film. And he's going to have a new running back coach. He's going to have a new offensive coordinator, a new O-line coach, and maybe they'll be able to talk him through, okay, this is why we're going to do it. This is where we want you to press when you get to that wide zone. Be a bit more patient, and trust me, things are going to work out for you. So if you can establish the run, which Kubiak wants to do, it takes pressure off of Geno. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has to throw this football into a window and possibly intercept it. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has to push it down the field and he's not on the same page with his wideouts. So I think it limits error when you can run the football. But also what it does, and we talked about it yesterday, if you get behind, if it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, that's where it gets tough in this offense. But I've also seen Kevin O'Connell run a similar offense, and they were in shotgun 90% of the time. They are throwing the football, and they were still able to execute. And I think that's where Geno comes in. Because Geno can toss the rock. He's one of the best throwers of the football in the game right now. He can toss the rock. So you take pressure off of Geno, but he still will have some of that, but less of it. Because when you get into those 3rd, 7, 8s, and you get in that shotgun, everyone knows you're throwing the football. You got to execute, and I think he can do it.
We have talked previously when Clint was hired about, okay, well, does he have the offensive line he needs? And the argument I remember you making is like, you could argue the offensive line was worse off with the New Orleans. Let's expand that to the rest of the team. What weapons does he have here? Instead of like, what does he need to have the offense he wants? If you're Clint Kubiak, Bump, and you're looking at Seattle's offense, what are you going, okay, I like the bones here. I like what I have to work with here.
He's loving number 14. That's why I think an extension gets done. He's loving number 11. He's I think he's looking at the tight end spots though and saying, all right, well, we need some help there. Yeah. We got AJ Barner there, of course, and we just talked about what they're gonna do with Noah Fant. But you need a gritty, grimy tight end who's gonna line up on the wing, who's gonna motion to the backfield, serve as a fullback. Need a fullback as well.
Fullback.
There are some things that he needs, but he's looking at the skill positions. He's looking at K9 Charbonnet, and I think even Kenny McIntosh. And he's looking at his wideouts and saying, I can work with this. Because in this offense, the backside of the play, when Geno's eyes are to the right or he's rolling to the right or the concept takes him to the right, there's going to be one-on-ones on the backside, and I think that is where DK shines. DK is the type of dude to where you just toss it up. 50-50, toss it up to him, put it in a spot where he can make a play, and let's go get it. So, he loves the bones or the skill guys. There are some gaps, obviously, and we've been talking about it extensively the past couple of weeks, but the bones are 14, 11, 9.
Yeah.
What number is Zach Charbonnet? 20 what?
I wish I could tell you.
I know McIntosh 25.
I'm not a good reporter now.
I know McIntosh's number, but I'm struggling with Zach Charbonnet.
Sorry, Zach. I'm really
my
sorry.
Bad, Zach. Man,
well, look, we said that you were a great weapon, and I will Google your
26.
That's what I said. 26. I've written it down in my notebook a million times, but I couldn't tell you. I know 9.
I
know 9. Okay. Seahawks reporter John Boyle joining us next from the NFL Combine. We'll get the latest on what reporters heard from Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald. That's next.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Dan Wilson, the skipper of this group, with us right now.
It's a really strong group. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to start this season with them and continue it through, because it's a really fun group, and it's a group that's been together for a while, and I think that's a huge benefit. There's not a lot of, down here in spring training, there's not a lot of, hey, nice to meet you, how's your family? Like, these guys know each other. We're starting from a different base, and we're going to get started on a good foot.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name. It's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close. And they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here from my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
It's the granddaddy of them all, the Seattle RV Show, March 6th through 9 at Lumen Field Event Center. Hundreds of new models, over 1,000 floor plan options from over 50 manufacturers. It's your best chance to save all year. Tickets at SeattleRVShow.com, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Guys, I'll never forget the first time I saw somebody get results at our clinic. He was an 81-year-old man who hadn't been intimate with his wife in over 8 years. Viagra had stopped working for him, and he was desperate for help. After several treatments, he walked into my office and told me he couldn't believe the results. Needless to say, this was a very happy man. This man made me a believer in what we do. He had taken pills for years, but he had never fixed the problem. When he came to us, we fixed the problem. Our treatment does what no pill can do. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today, like the thousands of men who already have.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
MLB is experimenting with the automated ball strike system, aka robot umps, at 13 spring training ballparks this spring. How's it going so far? How about this tweet half an hour ago from the Athletics' Jayson Stark? Yanks catcher Alex Jackson just challenged a ball call in the first inning, and when the animation on the board confirmed it was a ball, Yankees fans booed. That's right, fans are already booing those poor robot umps, and that is one of the many reasons we love baseball.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Joining us now from the NFL Scouting Combine, it's Seahawks reporter John Boyle on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Boyle, how's it going?
It's going good. How you guys doing back there?
Fantastic. We have heard sound from both John Schneider and Mike McDonald, but I know that there are comments that both can make to reporters off the podium. And so there's a lot of questions we're going to have about what we've learned from these two. I'm going to start with the obvious ones, and that is what both men have told you guys about Geno Smith. It sounds like they're pretty adamant about hanging on to their quarterback.
Wait, what? There's Geno Smith questions?
Yeah, that's crazy.
McDonald was just like, gave the really brief answers. Like, I've answered that one a lot. Yeah, I mean,
Exhausted.
Everything we've heard from both those guys pretty consistently is that, Geno Smith is their guy. Geno has made it clear he wants some sort of deal done in the past, and, they seem to want to do that. It's just, there's a timing issue. They got to get with his people. When we heard from John Schneider, I believe it was Tuesday, he said the plan was to meet with Geno's agents here in Indy because all the agents come to this event as well. So, this is usually where, maybe they get started on the framework of these deals, but that doesn't necessarily mean it gets done right away. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's more just a matter of when it happens, not if it happens.
Hey, Boyle, we're trying to figure out, like everyone else, like what they're going to do with the 18th pick. And this is my logic, okay? If they go best player at 18, that means they're bringing in a veteran, and obviously they're going to draft a guard somewhere. If they go guard at 18, that means that they're saying, forget what we did the last couple of years getting the best player. We're going to go for need now. Since it's been so different the last couple of years, I don't know what to think. I know you don't know the answer, but what would you do if you were the Seahawks at 18?
I can't believe you don't think I know this. You don't think they tell me? They're all their plans?
I mean, even if they did tell you, you wouldn't tell me, so I'm just trying to set you up, man.
You're right. No, I mean, both Schneider and Mike McDonald and John Schneider, it's been a long week. Both those guys said, you get in trouble when you draft for need. I mean, John's not going to name names, but he said, that's when we've made the biggest mistakes in past drafts is they push a guy up their board due to need. So I do think that, that's why free agency is important to, hit on some needs in free agency so you don't get in that position where you feel like you have to get a guy. Like, look, we all know they want to get better up front, and they do, they like some of these young guys and their ability to develop, and they think this scheme's going to help them, but they also need to add guys there, and they know that. So, John Schneider was pretty clear that adding a veteran at guard is desired. Because it helps you from making that mistake of reaching in the draft, and B, I think they want a veteran presence to come in and compete where, kind of like what Laken Tomlinson was last year. You don't want to just have all first and second year guys. If they all pop and win jobs, great, but you want to have, a solid veteran option there. So, yeah, I think, we'll see them address that in free agency. That doesn't mean, you can't still go draft a guy in the first round if your guy's there, but you don't want to say guard no matter what, because that's where you make a bad decision.
John mentioned, hey, we've actually taken the second most offensive lineman in the draft since the start of my tenure here in Seattle. And I didn't necessarily read that as defensiveness, but that he thinks that the issues that they've had building the offensive line are more extensive than just not drafting the right guys or not drafting talented guys.
You go back and look at their draft history. They've drafted a ton of guys, but just, maybe not as high a fix as fans would like some years, but yeah, I mean, they've tried.
What did you gather from him when he what did it seem like to you he thought the issue might be or where the issues might lie?
I think he's said it's, they need to do a better job of finding the right guys first and foremost. And then it's just, he talked about it's just determining how you're going to allocate your resources. Like, you don't want to pay $15 million for a guy that you don't think is that good of a player just because that's what the market is, and then lose out on, let's say you do that and you lose Ernest Jones. You don't want that to be what happens because you think Ernest Jones is a hell of a player. So it's tough. It's been a problem league-wide. Seahawks aren't the only team that's had a hard time finding offensive linemen. Like, this is a tough position to be good at in the NFL. So it's just finding the right balance of, identifying first and foremost in the draft because those guys are the ones that are cheaper. And then when you spend in free agency, finding the right guy to spend on and, hopefully finding the right value there.
Boyle, I've had a great time watching film of a bunch of running backs in this draft, or a really deep draft when it comes to the RB position. There have been times, I believe, where the Hawks have carried 4 running backs on the roster. What do you think their approach is at this spot? Are they looking at their 3 and saying, I think we're good, or do you think that they tap in and grab an RB?
I mean, I think they really like those guys, but I don't think if there's, if this group is so deep as everyone thinks it is, and John Schneider even volunteered that, kind of given the caveat, I usually don't like to talk about certain position groups, but this one just jumps out so much, then, yeah, I mean, you got to be looking ahead. You might not be drafting a guy early that's going to come in and be your starter, but you're always looking ahead at A, depth, because that position tends to have a lot of injuries, and B, future contract things. Like, they got all those guys back this year, but you're going to get to a point where you got to make a decision on Kenneth Walker with a contract and things like that. So, yeah, if this class is as deep as everyone seems to say it is, it would make a ton of sense to me to look at it at some point. I don't think it's necessarily going to be their top priority because they do really like that trio they have right now with Walker and Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh.
The Seahawks have a couple other extensions to consider outside of Geno and DK. It feels like they've commanded 90% of the spotlight, rightfully so, your quarterback and, your star receiver. But we've got to think about Charles Cross, Ken Walker, what's going to go on with some of these guys. Boyle, what kind of tough decisions when it comes to these extensions is the team going to be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything. It's always just kind of figuring out what the market is and then deciding if that's how you want to allocate the resources. And now with Charles Cross, they do have the option of that they could do that 5th-year option, and that, A, make sure you keep him, and B, it buys you time to then try to negotiate an extension. So I do think that's a real consideration. John Schneider didn't give a firm answer on that, but he definitely didn't blow it off as something they're not considering. So that's a choice for him. But, yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you draft well. I mean, these past couple of years, they've drafted a lot of really good players, and that's going to come up on you. And we saw it, especially early in John Schneider's tenure, where you suddenly have all these young guys coming up, and it's a good problem to have because that means you're doing well in the draft. But, it's never easy to figure out how you're going to allocate all that. But, the good news is ultimately these extensions, if you want to do them, they don't hurt you much cap-wise right away. So I know people look at the Seahawks cap number this year and say it's tight, but being tight this year doesn't really help you or hurt you when it comes to trying to extend guys for the future.
I asked a question about the RBs, and I'm going to ask another question about a running back, but a fullback. Like, there has to be a fullback in his offense. You look at Kubiak and what he likes to do. He loves to operate with a fullback. I'm trying to figure out when's the last time a fullback has been drafted. I doubt they spent a draft pick on a fullback, but what do you think about that position, and do you assume that we'll see a big, like, number 42 with a neck roll back there in the backfield?
I don't know about the neck roll, but I'm all for it. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear from what we've heard from Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak that that's something they want in this offense, not just, sometimes that can be something a tight end does. We saw, when he was healthy, Brady Russell doing that kind of thing. So, you can try to maybe get somebody who's a little more versatile that can help you in other ways. But if you can find a guy to be a good physical fullback who helps you on special teams, I think that's something this team's really going to value this year.
There were some interesting tweets from Ernest Jones. I have no idea who was talking about Ernest Jones being a cancer. That's not at all what I've heard. But I wanted to take an opportunity, since you're around this team and close to these players and you talk to them, to just ask you about your impressions of Ernest Jones in the locker room as a person, just to add some clarity to that.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what he was tweeting about, what that's reference to, if that has to do with past teams or who knows. But I did not get an impression that, he was anything but very well liked and respected in that locker room. I mean, first and foremost, he came in and he got results, and guys respect that. It's like, this guy shows up and he makes us better. Guys want to be around that. So, yeah, he was a guy, he wasn't a guy that disappears and isn't available. He was in the locker room all the time, available to media, chatting up with his teammates. So I have no idea what he was referencing in that string of tweets, but I don't get the impression that he's anything but very well liked and very well respected in that locker room, and a guy that just about everybody wants back because he did really good things for that defense.
Yeah, that was interesting to me. I think every interaction that we've had has been great. I've heard nothing but good things about the guy. So we shall see. Boy, I love the way they're addressing the offensive line with the coaching staff. They got a run game coordinator, a run game specialist. This is an indicator that the run game is going to be important this year, and as it should. What do you like about Kubiak's run game?
Yeah, I mean, that's, as you just said, like you can tell the emphasis when they put this staff together was like, we want to get guys who will help us run the ball, help us develop offensive linemen. Because that, going back to the O-line conversation, yes, identifying guys is definitely part of it, but it's also like a big issue in this league is developing guys because they come in a lot of times from schemes very different than the NFL. So if you got veteran coaches who are good at that, that can help you a ton get better just with the guys you have. And then, scheme-wise, this is a really proven run scheme. I mean, going back to, Mike Shanahan, who Gary Kubiak worked with and had a ton of success, went to Super Bowls with a variation of this scheme, and now, his son's doing it, and all the, the whole Shanahan tree's doing it around the league in one way or another. So it's proven. It works really well, and I think, we're going to see the run game be, A, more successful, and B, a much bigger part of the offense just in terms of how much they want to run the ball.
After 14 years of seeing Pete Carroll here as head coach of the Seahawks, what was it like out there at the Combine to see him at the podium for the Raiders?
Yeah, it was something else to, in one way it just felt normal seeing him at a podium because I've stood there watching his pressers for so many years, but he's talking about a different team and talking about rebuilding. I mean, I do think it's a cool challenge for him just that he's excited about. Like, it's not the exact same situation as Seattle was in 2010, but, the team that has struggled, that he's going to inject his unique culture and competitive spirit. And I think he's going to help that team get better because that's what he does. So it was fun to see him up there. And he, talked for a while about just what a special relationship he has with Seattle and the fan base there. And I thought it was kind of cool. He pointed out because he still lived in the area, like being out and about like he was when he's not working, he really got to understand better than when he was actually working, like how strong that bond was because people, are stopping him and thanking him and, reminiscing about good times. So I think it's been a good year for him to sort of understand really what a special thing he created in Seattle with John Schneider.
And we've seen a lot of players retire and then kind of get into the organization somehow. Nico Thorpe is one guy that I think of, but now we got Peters. Do you know anything about his role?
I don't much. I mean, we did have a story on our website talking to Mo Kelly, and I think he's going to work a lot on that kind of player engagement side. But really, he's just going to be a guy who's there to be a resource for players. I mean, you look at his experience; it's pretty unparalleled. You play 20+ years in the NFL. You're playing into your 40s. It's something where he's going to be a guy that can really help them. So, I don't know the specifics of what it'll be, but I do think that it's just going to be a real good resource for the whole team and especially for offensive linemen.
Boyle, I know that we've asked you a lot about what we heard when it comes to player news from Mike McDonald or John Schneider, but these two men were also asked a lot about each other, right? This relationship, now a year in, what kind of insight did you glean from, I know that you guys had a column on Seahawks.com about going behind the scenes at the Senior Bowl and kind of a different insight into their relationship and Mike McDonald with another year.
Yeah, I mean, a big kind of theme of this offseason is just how much ahead they feel like they are, where a year ago you're building the coaching staff, you're installing new systems with all, these coaches hadn't worked together a year ago. So Mike McDonald and the coaches just couldn't really be a part of, there have been meetings and getting caught up on the prospects, but they weren't out, helping evaluate the guys, being in these interviews at the Combine. You sit in these interviews at the Combine where last year is all the scouts doing it. This year it's position coaches and coordinators, and Mike McDonald are the ones asking all the questions in the room, not the scouts. So it's important for these coaches to be a part of that. And then just in terms of like Mike and John, I think we heard from John just talk about like how, obviously to get the job, he had to be really impressive and they liked him, but then you're around him for a year and you're even more impressed. Just like what a smart, analytical guy is, but also such a good teacher. I mean, we've talked about this with players throughout the year. It's like, you can be as smart as you want, but if you're, not able to teach it and make it, digestible for your players, it doesn't really matter. And he's been very good at that. So I think that's one of the things that John Schneider's really come away impressed with.
Last one I got for you, Boyle. I don't know if you do this. Me and Brock, we do this all the time. We admire the physique of these football players. Has there been anybody who has impressed you so far? Like, goodness gracious, that is a big human being.
I mean, God, so many of these guys, it never ceases to be amazing being around these football players, like just how impressive athletes they are, what they can do at the size they are. So, so far more of my focus has been, being around our scouts, being around, behind the scenes with those guys, because the on-field stuff really hasn't gotten going yet. So that'll be one I can give you a better answer to next week when we start to see these guys get on the field. But yeah, I mean, I think in general, what's going to impress everybody this year is just the guys up front, both sides of the ball. It's a good year in the trenches. You're going to see some big guys and some impressive things, I think.
He is Seahawks.com reporter John Boyle, kind enough to join us from the Combine on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Thanks, Boyle. Have a good one.
All right. See you guys.
I'm curious to hear more about the Seahawks in attendance, watching some of those quarterback workouts on Saturday. We know Shedeur Sanders won't be throwing, but he's not going to be an option for Seattle. Do they get linked to Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe? What's happening with some of those guys?
Probably.
I don't know. Let's dive into 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory. Going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Abdul Carter says that a great defensive player can affect a football game the same way a quarterback can. Do you agree?
Mr. Carter, he's doing his best. He's selling. He is selling, and I ain't mad at you, bro. You go ahead and get your number 1 pick. If you can do anything to influence that, you do exactly that. But my young brother in Christ, you are wrong, sir. But I get what you're doing, but you are wrong, man. I went and I looked at just some ballers who get after the quarterback. You got Max Crosby, 14 sacks. The Raiders are doing nothing. Why? Because they don't have a quarterback, plus other things. You got Myles Garrett at 14 sacks. The Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They ain't doing nothing. They bought themselves an expensive quarterback. He ain't working out. You got Micah Parsons with 12 sacks. You got a QB that's getting paid $60 million a year, and that team isn't getting it done. And you also have TJ Watt, 11.5 sacks. This dude's never even won a playoff game. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, 17.5 sacks. He's got a dope quarterback, but the rest of his team isn't on point. I get what this young man is doing, and I applaud him for putting that out there. But we all know, if you don't have a quarterback plus some other things, it ain't going to work. So saying that a defensive player affects the game the way a quarterback does, you are false. You can look at the Philadelphia Eagles and say, well, look what they did to Pat Mahomes. It was 4 of them guys getting after Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
You got 4 dogs up there. You can get after the quarterback. One player in most football games is not going to get it done. How many times did we see Pat Mahomes toss dimes to Scantling and him drop the football? There's a connectivity in this game that needs to happen. And I don't want to diminish his role, his position, because getting after the quarterback is like priority number 2. You got to have a quarterback. You got to get after the quarterback. He will be able to do that at a high level, but I'm saying if you don't touch the ball every single down, you're not going to have the same effect.
I mean, literally, as you were explaining it, I was just thinking, okay, who is the best quarterback all time that I can think of? I mean, winning is certainly Tom Brady, probably the GOAT. Maybe in terms of skill, you're looking at someone like Mahomes or some all-time great arms, like at their peak. Would I rather have that guy or the best defensive player ever? Every single time it would be the quarterback. I mean, would you rather have the best wide receiver or the best quarterback? Quarterback.
People consider LT the best defensive player
ever
of all time. He still needs an offense.
That's the thing. Would you rather have Lawrence Taylor in his prime or Patrick Mahomes in his prime?
Probably Pat Mahomes.
You know,
LT is a beast, though.
Exactly. And you can look at a player and go, Aaron Donald, one of the most decorated defensive linemen of all time, can't affect the game in the same way. Like, it's insane.
The D-line is better now without Aaron Donald than it was with him in LA.
Crazy. Second down. Speaking of LA, when you look across the division, who has the most to do as far as re-signing free agents?
All right, so we talked about extensions, so I'm going to leave those guys to the side. I might mention 1 or 2, but going across the division, you have the Seattle Seahawks. We talked about them, right? Are going to re-sign Jay Reed, Trey Brown, Ernest Jones is the big one, and then Hankins as well. I know he didn't put up great numbers, did have interceptions, but I think that he did a great job. With the Cardinals, you have Kaiser White, you have Will Hernandez, a guard, you have LJ Collier, crazy, man. He's still in this league doing his thing.
Good for him.
And then with the Rams, you have Tutu Atwell, DeMarcus Robinson. You have Roseboom, who's a very good linebacker who doesn't get enough love, 133 tackles. You go to the Niners. They have the most work to do by far, ain't even close. You got Greenlaw. Are you going to re-sign him? He's getting up there in age. You have Hufanga. He's going to be worth, his market value right now is $11.9 million. You have Ward. His value right now, $15.3 million. And then you have Campbell, the other linebacker there. He's 31 years of age. I say all that, and I have to remind you, Brock Purdy's going to get paid $50 million. You talked about it earlier in the show, Stacy. Niners got the most to do. I'm looking at what everyone else has to do. Every year, every team, you got to sign your free agents and keep the band together and let some guys go. But the Niners have the most to do, because if I'm Hufanga, I'm not taking a homie discount. If I'm Ward, I'm not taking a homie discount. And they're going to have to ask them to do that, because you have to pay this quarterback. The thing that might help them is Deebo Samuel wanting to get out there and get a trade. But Niners, man, they got some work to do. So let's close the gap on them.
Third down. What's another reason Seahawks fans shouldn't stress too much about Geno's contract?
All right, don't stress, guys. All right, I know you're going to see this number. You're going to be like, what the heck? $40 million, $35 million. What are you doing? Listen, the cap just went up. It is now $279.2 million, $24 million more from last year. If Geno were to get $40 million, that is only 14% of the cap. 14%. If you look across the league at the quarterbacks and their percentages of the cap, you got Joe Burrow, who's accounting for 24%. Josh Allen, 23%. Dak Prescott, 23%. Pat Mahomes, 22%. Kyler Murray, 22%. Trevor Lawrence, 21%. Jordan Love, 21%. Jared Goff, 20%. Matthew Stafford, right now, 19%. Kirk Cousins, 17%. Derek Carr, 16%. Baker Mayfield, 13%. I'm just saying, just put it in perspective for you. Don't be fooled by that big number that you are going to see. It's going to be 30-something, maybe $40 million a year. But the cap has gone up, and the percentage of the cap that he has taken up is nothing like some of the guys above him. There are at least 20 guys above him when it comes to that percentage. So I'm just preparing you guys, okay? It's like when I take my kids to the store and I say, y'all not getting nothing, okay? Just I'm preparing you. Don't walk into the store asking for nothing. I'm preparing you. This is what I'm doing for y'all, all right? Don't be alarmed by that number. It's only going to be max 14% of the cap.
Fourth down. It's just so sad. Why even take me into the store if I can't get anything?
Can't have nothing. Because I can't leave you in the car. It's too hot.
I'm just letting
you're young.
It's hard. That's a hard truth. Anything stand out from our interview with John Boyle?
Yeah, I asked him about the running back crew. He says the Hawks like the three running backs, and they should like him. I think Kenny McIntosh showed that he can play some ball. I mean, finally, the Hawks listened to me. For 2 years, I've been talking about Kenny freaking McIntosh.
Oh, they listen every day.
And they listened, and they got him out there, and he did his thing. Zach Charbonnet shined when he had a chance, and then K9 looked good in his moment. So I like that he said they like their running backs, but there's no way you're not going to walk away from this draft with the running back. It is so deep. The other one that stood out, drafting for need instead of drafting the best player available. Hearing Boyle say that, and we talked about this and walked through this several times, they have to just draft the best player. Mm-hmm. They have to. So at 18, they're probably not going to get a guard. They're probably not. They're probably going to get a defensive player. They're probably going to get the top wideouts will be out of there. Maybe a tight end. Who knows? But yeah, D-tackle. But if we're talking about the best players available, we know that traditionally guards don't go that high. But who knows, man? I have a few more weeks to dive into my draft analysis and figure out if there is a guard who is worthy of that pick. But I looked over the last couple seasons, man. There's only been a couple of guards drafted that high in the first round. So Boyle got me thinking about it again. But I got some weeks to do some research. I'm going to dive in and see if I can find a guard that I think is worthy. But it doesn't sound like they are going to draft a guard at that spot, best available.
I've seen Ashton Genty mocked to the Cowboys a ton. I've seen him mocked in the top 10. I don't think he'll be available at 18. Maybe like at lowest 14, 15. But yeah. Ashton Genty was at 18.
If he's at 18, the rest of the NFL, you guys are fools.
Well, that would have been a massive fall.
All you GMs, y'all need to just give some money back to your organization.
Now,
Genty goes that low, that's crazy.
I do not think he will be available.
Nah.
I think he'll be a top 10 pick. However, the reason I ask is I think that the conversation about would you take this player is just more intriguing when that player's a running back, and he's just the first round running back I could think of. It's easy to be like, hey, defensive tackle, I could see the case. You want a ton of depth. But when it's a running back, you're like, wait a minute. Do I want to do that? Am I positive?
Especially when you have three that are,
when you have three that are good. When you've taken a first-round running back and it hasn't worked out, like, have you been burned there? Do you buy in the actual shift the league is making in terms of being, valuing running backs a little more than they did, or are you still hesitant to pull the trigger? I think it becomes an interesting exercise when you consider, like, okay, well, what if you know that player?
Right.
And what if that player set some records? Okay. All right, still to come. I cannot believe it's taken me 90 minutes to get to this story. It's by far the most interesting story of the last 24 hours. There was a fight at the Combine at Starbucks, and it was not between two players, two coaches, or two fans, but two reporters. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Joining us here in the booth, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill.
Julio being Julio is still going to matter, I think, more than anyone else you bring in. I think he can be a true difference maker, all-star MVP quality. I mean, we all know what his ceiling can be. And I'm actually really confident that he's going to have a big year. And because we have seen it in flashes where he has been among the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
Like the absolute best player that this game has to offer.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Stacy Rost here. If you're like me, you've been putting off getting a new car for years. Maybe you don't want to take time to shop, or you don't feel comfortable with more spending, which I totally get. But I finally had some repairs for my car that felt like too much to overcome for what it was worth. So I pulled the trigger on a new vehicle, and I knew just where to go. Wayscar Ford in Auburn. I went over the selection of new and used cars at wayscarford.com. A ton of Ford models like Broncos and Escapes, but also models from Kia, Chevrolet, Toyota, and more, all at amazing prices. The shopping experience in person was amazing too. You guys know how much trust matters when you're shopping for a new car, so I knew I could depend on Wayscar Ford. They're a company that's been in business for over 100 years in Auburn. I ended up with a 2024 Bronco Sport, and I'm obsessed. In hindsight, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. Heated seats, a heated steering wheel, and four-wheel drive in the winter has been a game changer. So head to wayscarford.com to check out the selection for yourself. I know you'll enjoy the process as much as I did. That's Wayscar Ford in Auburn, wayscarford.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Calling all pickleballers, Champions of Change and Safeway announce a multi-city pickleball tournament, including celebrity games with Seahawks legends Doug Baldwin, Mike Bennett, Cliff Averill, and more. In collaboration, Nourishing Champions campaign will be raising awareness and accepting donations to provide nutritious foods for student athletes in under-resourced high schools. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout. Open to all. The tournaments are in Seattle, Lacey, and Spokane. Register today at championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful. Hi, this is Matayo. And this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick. Because the spice comes in at just the right moment. Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
The wait is over. Hey, it's your old pal, the Graz here. Inviting you to come celebrate the grand reopening of Jackson Park's driving range. They are throwing a party and everyone is invited. They'll have new range balls, mats, and targets, music on the range, and face painting for the kids, so bring the whole family. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well. That's right. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well. How about free 10-minute lessons after 2 p.m., food specials, and of course, plenty to drink. All day Saturday, the grand reopening of Jackson Park's spanking new driving range.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rierecka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund returning 9% has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com.
This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. This summer, experience breathtaking Cascade views and world-class dining. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. The treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
We've got NFL reporter beef. That is leading off the timeline, and the entire point is to tell you the top stories, trending in sports. And most of the time they have to do with sports. Of course, obviously, we're a sports talk station. This one is a little more tangentially related. So it all starts with this. Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz put out a report that, and we read it yesterday in NFL headlines. He put out a report that Matthew Stafford, who is not a free agent, is under contract with the Rams, was in a ski area, a mansion with Tom Brady. And that Tom Brady was trying to persuade Matthew Stafford to go to the Raiders. This is tampering. Mm-hmm. So this is something that would get Tom Brady in a ton of trouble, would get the Raiders in a ton of trouble. And so the initial report was that, hey, these two are at a ski resort together, and Tom's reportedly trying to get Stafford to consider the Raiders if there's a trade. And then Ian Rappaport came out and said, this is not hearing this, or, this is a popular area, whatever. Then Jordan Schultz put out another tweet saying, if you think that this isn't related to Tom, if you think this is on accident, I've got a bridge to sell you or whatever. So that's how this all starts, okay, is just a conflicting report. One reporter saying either that didn't happen or this was on accident or you're making something out of this, and another reporter saying, no, I know the story. I know what's happening. Okay, so this is what happened. We're told, this is from NBC Sports, we're told Rappaport was talking to an agent at a Starbucks, okay, where all fights happen. Schultz approached Rappaport and said, we need to talk, or specific words to that effect. Rappaport replied, we're told, we don't need to talk, or specific words to that effect. I'm guessing they left out some swearing.
Some F-bombs.
Schultz then made accusations about Rappaport, we're told. Rappaport regards the accusations as unfounded, and the two men were essentially face-to-face. I'm guessing yelling at each other, but it doesn't say that. If you have anything to say it to me, say it to my blanking face, Schultz said. If this continues, we're going to have a blanking problem. Schultz does not recall using profanity. Rappaport then asked Schultz to step back, and Schultz said, if this happens again, we're going to have a blanking problem. Now I'll step back.
Sounds like a after school little meetup at Starbucks.
This sounds like a Real Housewives exchange, and I am here for it. Important to note, Schultz getting in a fight at Starbucks is notable because his dad is Starbucks founder Howard Schultz.
Here's what, now listen, they're doing their jobs, right? One is reporting, the other one's saying, no, that's not true. I think everyone's entitled to say what they want to say. If you got a problem, you got a problem with it. All right, I get that. Here's the part that gets me. Rappaport called the popo. He called security. You're in Starbucks, all right? You got nothing to do with the NFL Combine. You're in Starbucks. You get the authorities involved.
Come on,
That's
man.
a sucker move, man. He didn't throw any punches, none of that stuff. He didn't say, meet me outside. He was just expressing himself in a way that you didn't like, and you called the one time the popo to 12s. It's security, but I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him.
It's
Popo.
okay. It's a little bit of a
come on, man.
move.
And this is funny. I would love to see two guys. They're probably both about 5'6". You know what I'm saying? Getting tough in a Starbucks.
I need TMZ to find the footage.
There has to be a footage.
I need to find it. And I have a fantasy football thread where there's a couple reporters in it, and so naturally they were talking about who's in the right, who's in the wrong, how they would feel. And one person in this thread was like, honestly, like, you don't have to like Jordan Schultz. I know that there's some animosity in Seattle with his ties to Howard Schultz, obviously. He was like, you don't have to like him, but, like, I'd be heated too. Like, if another reporter was publicly calling me out on my report, I'd be kind of mad. However, would I confront that person aggressively in a Starbucks? I would not.
Starbucks? Nah.
I would not.
Nah.
I would get my latte, mind my business, and maybe I'd passively aggressively say something, or I'd go up and be like, hey, can I talk to you? Like, that felt like a shot. That felt like an unprofessional move by you.
I'd walk by him and be like, hey, pick up your phone later. Just pick up your phone.
That's a cooler move.
Yeah, let's have a talk about this.
I need to see the footage. I'm obsessed with the story. I can't stop talking about it. Oh my God. Of all the things that we hear about from the Combine, 2 major reporters getting into a yelling match to the point where security was called. I saw it tweeted by PFT commenter the first time I saw it, so I thought it was a joke. And I was like, it's kind of funny, I guess.
Real talk.
Got to come up with content somehow. No, it was real.
Called security.
It was real. Next up, speaking of bad blood, Yankees and Dodgers have some. Former Yankees pitcher Nestor Cortez told The Athletic he still thinks New York should have won the World Series. This was his quote. They can talk whatever they want to talk, but we win Game 1, which we should have. We lost 2 and 3. We win Game 4, and we should have won Game 5. Then we go back LA up 3-2. So people can say it slipped away from us. People can say we made a lot of mistakes, which we did. But at the end of the day, we were the better team.
World Series grand salami, sir. All right, come on now. Just take the L, New York. He's not even on New York anymore. He's like Milwaukee. He's not even on the team anymore. If this, then that. We can go back and watch every game of any sport and say, if this, then that. But what if this happened? What if that happened? Man, it is what it is. New York, y'all ain't won one in a long time. But my Dodgers got 2 in the last 4 or 5. So just take the L, move along. You're in Milwaukee now. I'm sure you like it there. And go visit, is Mall of America out there? No, that's Minnesota. Never mind. My bad.
It's okay. They're so similar in a way. I just feel like one thing you can't ever do, now sports fans do this. I've done this before, but the if just this would have happened approach for sports is such a pointless task. You lost.
You lost.
Like, think of how dumb it is. Like, just for real, think of how dumb it sounds to say, if we would have won 2 more games, we would have won the World Series. You sound stupid.
We should have won that one, but we didn't.
Exactly.
Because, we gave like a grand slam.
But you did not win. In fact, it's not even that you should have. What about that game means you should have won?
Nothing, man. These were the 2 best teams in baseball.
Yeah.
Okay? Someone had to win. The better team won.
Now, leading into this one, we talked about, hey, some of the questions. Like, it was not clear that the Dodgers were going to absolutely throttle the Yankees. Like,
I was scared.
Yeah, rightfully so. But the idea of if we would have won, like, think of how dumb I sound saying, well, if Robbie Ray wouldn't have thrown that pitch, and if the Mariners take Game 1, maybe they take Game 3, maybe, they keep it moving and they win the ALDS. Think of how dumb that sounds.
It's crazy.
You didn't.
He's talking about, and I know what he's thinking about, all the errors that happened, right? Because the Dodgers did get lucky at some point during that series with some drops or whatnot. But that's the game, man. You got to execute. Take the L. Move on.
Next and last story, legendary actor Gene Hackman died on Wednesday at the age of 95. Sad news here out of Hollywood. He's best known to sports fans, of course, for his role as head coach Norman Dale, the 85 movie Hoosiers. Here's that classic speech.
Forget about the crowds. The size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay?
Best sports movie speech? Or I'll throw in action movie if you want like some Independence Day moment. Like, what's a movie speech where when you watch it, you still get emotional?
It's Any Given Sunday all day. But
I don't really know what to say.
I want to comment on that movie.
Yes.
I remember watching as a kid, And I was in the AAU circuit in LA. If you know anything about it, it's James Harden, it's Trevor Ariza, it's Jordan Farmar. Like, there's some ballers in it. And I was undersized, right? And in that movie, they go to the practice facility, and he has one of his players measure the hoop. We all know it's going to be 10 feet. Measure the hoop, and he goes, it's 10 feet everywhere. Don't worry about anything else. I swear to you, I used to go into games like 10 feet, dog. I can still light it up no matter where I'm at. It's 10 feet. So big ups for that. That movie was big for me. But it's Any Given Sunday all day.
Yeah. All right. The Seahawks have been linked to at least 2 defensive backs at the Combine. Should they be adding to that room? That's next.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Our opportunity to sit down with the catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Is this the ceiling, or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You look at like striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. Even the catching side of it, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and you also don't want to lose the things you're good at.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here. And as a former college and professional player and quarterback in particular, the years of wear and tear and some of those hits left my knee and some of my body in some constant pain. On and off the field, the weight room, all those heavy squats and all of it. In fact, my knee was really bothering me last year. That's why I decided to try stem cell injection therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson at Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine over there in Kirkland. And really, it was an awesome decision. With Dr. Dan, the procedure itself was so quick and easy. In and out, same day. Next day, I'm out watching football practice, a baseball game, and the staff was absolutely A+. And my knee, well, it's a whole lot better now, and I'm back to squatting and enjoying a much better quality of life. Call Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD, with Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. Over 30 years of experience. No one, and I mean no one, has more experience in pain medicine techniques. You can reach him at 425-823-4000. That's 425-823-4000 or DanielNelsonMD.com.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb. Expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer, $149 or less. And soon, one expert tax prep for $149 or less. Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people. And we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Coming up in 15 minutes, some Mariners talk. The latest from John Morosi. Good stuff on potential extensions. He talks about how the Mariners can follow the model of another team, who he thinks the opening day starter will be. Again, coming your way in 15 minutes. A little more on the combine. You got two names that have been linked to the Seahawks via interview. Brian Nemhauser said that both are defensive backs. Again, far more than just these two players, but I just found these two names interesting. Safety Nick Emenwari has met with the Seahawks. He was coached by Cam Chancellor's former coach, Brian says. And then cornerback, this is also real, Kobe Bryant, another Kobe Bryant, had a formal interview with the Seahawks at the Combine as well. Brian adds, he says you can call him Mamba if he ends up on the same team as Kobe Bryant. Also loves Devin Witherspoon's game. It's not that I don't care about these two players or don't want to learn more about them, but Bump, I think a more interesting conversation is, hey, the Seahawks going to talk to a lot of people. They happen to be talking recently to a couple defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say about where the defensive back room is? How do you feel about it? What's your confidence level? Where do they need to add? What names are we looking at? Where do they take a step forward? I just kind of wanted a temperature check on that room, because it sure seems like they might be interested in taking a defensive back in the draft.
Yeah, and they probably will. And the reason why, I'll start at the safety spot.
Yeah.
Looking at this young man, Nick Emenwari, I believe that's how you say his name. He's a ball hawk, man. He gets after the football. When the football's in his hands, he can run. He looks like he's thick. He's a big size, nice size on him. Mm-hmm. The reason why they would look at safety is because of the defense that they play when they use that 3 safety look. Remember, at one point we saw J. Love, Kobe Bryant, and Jenkins in all at the same time. I don't know if there were a safety that they would be looking to replace at this point. It's probably Jenkins, because he's a veteran and might cost a bit more.
And you've got a cap thing there that may end up saving you some money too.
Yeah. So I look at the safety spot, and I could see where they would grab another safety. I think Okada did a good job while he was in there. I don't see him as a starter. I think Kayvon Wallace, when he was healthy, I believe he ended up tearing his ACL, though. Jarek Reed, it was more of a special teams type of guy. This kid, Nick, looks like a young man that can cover in the back end and is big enough to get into the box and make some noise. So I understand there. The corner spot, I'm looking at Kobe Bryant. I watched some of his film. He's got some spoon in him. He's like 6 foot, 170 pounds. He does a good job passing route combinations off, and when he has a deep third and he's not threatening the deep third, he gets downhill. He's not afraid to make a tackle, too. I think Spoon is a bit more aggressive in the tackle, but I think he's not afraid to come downhill and make that tackle. Why would you look at a corner? because you have Reek Woolen, you got Spoon, and Trey Brown. After that, it's up for grabs. Nehemiah Pritchett hasn't solidified himself. Just got word my boy Bump Cooper is with the Dolphins now.
Devastating.
Bump, man, I'm so sad I didn't get a chance to meet you, dog. We could have been great. But it's just depth. Yeah, you know, you have your nickel spot. You got Artie Burns, who's played a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's just that you need depth with the way that this position was injured last year. It seemed like every week somebody was banged up at that corner spot. You have to start looking at some young guys. And here's the thing about the corner and safety position. Even if these two, say they were to come here, I doubt both of them do, right? Say they were to come here, these are your special team specialists. These are the guys going down there and making plays. Your DBs, your linebackers flourish in special teams. So even if they were to be on the squad and not play a big role in the defense, they'll help out on special teams. You need those guys.
It once again reminds me of the conversation we've been having all offseason about how you prioritize need and still fulfill some needs that you have with your roster while still getting best players. If the Seahawks and that continues past pick 18, like we talk about it constantly as a first round decision, but that continues throughout the draft. If you are on day 3 and you are in the 4th round and there is a cornerback there that you cannot believe wasn't picked on day 2, and it's up to you and you're thinking, man, I love this guy's intensity. This guy is a tone setter. And I believe not just can he develop into a great player, a solid player, but I think he can be a leader, potentially even a special teams leader. It's tempting, man. That same philosophy applies. Like, we're not suddenly out of the first round going, okay, now you can get need. Right. Now you can go fill these holes. Like, no, John Schneider's serious. Like, you go through each round and you go, who is the highest ranked player on our board? Is he still there? Who's someone that makes us better? Is he still there? Well, what if you add him to a room where you're like, now we got to make a tough decision?
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
It's better than looking in the room and saying, dang, these guys got to play.
I believe in no one.
Like, yeah, he has to play at this point. And no disrespect to anybody who was on this roster at any of those positions. At some point of the season with all the injuries, I guarantee you they have that feeling like, all right, obviously he can play. He's in the NFL for a reason, but he's not our first choice. We'd rather have a guy that has that caliber. The gap in talent between a starter and a 3 is big. And it's big in comparison to those two. In reality, is not that big because they're all in the NFL. But that number 1 is a 1 for a reason, and that number 3 is a 3 for a reason. And we saw some 2s and 3s get some opportunities, and yet when the 1 was healthy, they got bumped back down. What does that say? You know, there's a disparity there. The one spot where a 2 or a 3 got in the secondary and did not lose his spot was Kobe Bryant. He took that thing and ran with it. So I like to see situations like that, but it's rare that you see situations like that too often in the league.
Yeah. Someone said, have they been linked to a fullback? There was this like super utility guy, Dylan Moore-esque, that Brian had them linked to interviewing. We're going to see if we can coordinate with Brian and kind of cover like, okay, who have they been linked to? Who does it seem like the Seahawks are interested in? Another thing I'm interested to see this weekend, how interested do they seem in some of these quarterbacks? I know that that's not the defensive back room anymore, but we are going to be following a couple names linked to this team, and maybe the bigger picture is it is so hard to predict what the Seahawks are going to do.
It is.
It is so hard to predict what this team might do, especially since John Schneider has been very willing to trade back. He has more recently been willing to pick at the spot he's at, and he has also been very open about having adjusted his draft philosophy to say, basically, we take what's right. Like, we take what's right for us. We aren't going to pick the need that you think we need. How do you predict, like, for a team with a couple roster holes, for a team that has some steps to take, what does that even mean?
Here's the thing. This is when we're able to predict once the dominoes start to fall in front of them. Then you start to get an idea, because what everyone's waiting on, right, is the first few picks to see Tennessee, Cleveland, they're going to go quarterbacks, who's going to move up. Like, the chaos is in the first 9 to 10 picks. Then after that, it starts, dominoes start to fall, cookie starts to crumble, and the picture becomes a bit more clear. It's like when I'm driving out of Monroe early in the morning, for some reason we live in that valley, we got the fog all day. As soon as I get to Maltby, Woodinville, the skies open up, and I'm like, oh, there we go, we're good. That is what this draft is going to be like. Right now, we can't say. We can speculate. That's why I love this information that we're getting, the guys that they're talking to at the Combine. Hopefully we talk to Boyle again so he gives us some information, or somebody down there, just to kind of get nudged in the right direction. because no one really knows. I think McDonald, Schneider, those scouts don't even know really. They're just giving them information at this point.
All right, still to come. Someone said, can we please get some baseball talk? Yes, we've got you covered. We kind of split the show in half today. The Athletics' Jayson Stark is going to join us at 1 p.m. He's been tracking the automated ball strike, a.k.a. robot ump situations happening in a couple ballparks, some fun reaction to that. And then he's got some thoughts on the Mariners offseason and what he thinks about a few guys here. So we'll have him on at 1. And then before we get to him coming up next, we've got some really interesting sound from John Morosi, who was on with Wyman and Bob yesterday. He talked about the potential of extending Logan and Cal and George Kirby. Is that even possible? Also, how the Mariners can follow another team's model and who his opening day starter would be. That's coming your way next.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Dan Wilson, the skipper of this group, with us right now.
It's a really strong group. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to start this season with them and continue it through, because it's a really fun group, and it's a group that's been together for a while, and I think that's a huge benefit. There's not a lot of, down here in spring training, there's not a lot of, hey, nice to meet you, how's your family? Like, these guys know each other. We're starting from a different base, and we're going to get started on a good foot.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. The Cyberknife system, with advanced tracking technology and robotic design, keeps the radiation on target even with tumor or patient movement. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. And the treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. But the technology is only half the story. The skilled and dedicated team of providers and caregivers match the technology by providing unparalleled, personalized treatment plans and compassionate care. They are committed to patient-focused care, partnering with the patient and their families. The results speak for themselves. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. When diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair? What do you mean? Does it not look good? It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret. No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic. Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous. I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going? I'm going to pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month, and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at nordiciusa.com or CVS.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway, because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great.
At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all. And super-fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
MLB is experimenting with the automated ball strike system, a.k.a. robot umps, at 13 spring training ballparks. How's it going so far? A tweet an hour ago from the Athletics' Jayson Stark, I really like. He says, Yanks catcher Alex Jackson just challenged a ball call in the first inning, and when the animation on the board confirmed it was a ball, Yankees fans booed. That's right. Fans are booing robot umps. Spring is here, and it's just one of the many reasons we love baseball.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Let's dive into some baseball talk. John Morosi, MLB Insider, was on with Wyman and Bob yesterday, and always good to hear from John, always a ton of insight. And now that we've kind of slowly started to shift from off-season often criticism of the Mariners and started to look ahead, these conversations become a little more interesting. So we'll start with the idea of extensions. Yesterday, Bump, you and I talked about, what do you need to do to get an extension with Logan? What about Cal? John Morosi says there's a world where you extend Logan, Cal, and Kirby.
The one thing that I know is true today and will be true in 10 years and 20 years down the line is that the most cost-effective money that you spend is extending your own really good players and finding that common ground on the first major deal of their career. For that reason, it's fair, in my opinion, for Mariner fans to look at the front office and say, listen, not signing Juan Soto is a defensible position, okay? There's not a lot of teams that can spend $700 million plus for either Ohtani or Soto. I get it. That's a very high echelon of investment. But making a very logical extension for a Kirby or a Gilbert or a Raleigh for the right player, Mariner fans should expect their front office and their ownership to do that.
So, Bump, I can't tell if I'm being hypocritical and wanting the Mariners to spend more and blah, blah, blah. But my immediate reaction upon hearing this was, is it fair to expect them to extend all three of these guys? I don't know. That does not feel Mariners-esque to me. I feel like it has to be a world where you do one or two of three.
Yeah, I share that same feeling with you. I don't have any faith that they'll take care of the guys here. And I feel like it's a big ask. Just going off the personality of ownership and what they allow Dipoto and the gang to do and not do, this is going to cost you some money. Like, if you look at just the direction, the trajectory of Logan, of Cal, and Kirby, Logan and Kirby are going to be considered two of the best arms in the game. Cal is already considered one of the, if not the best catcher in the game. I mean, where do they go from here? I think the prices goes up and up every single year unless, God forbid, something happens to him, right? So, John, I appreciate that. And I think as an outsider, it's easier for him to expect that and to say that fans should expect that. But if you live in this region and you followed this team or covered this team for a decade or so, you know that this is almost a big ask. But it makes sense. Why wouldn't you keep these three together?
Curtis, what kind of money are we talking about? I know that's such a big question, but like, was your gut instinct, for instance, when you heard this cut from John Morosi, oh, that's technically affordable, or were you thinking there's no way this payroll can account for those three?
I mean, I think any baseball team could afford the salaries that Logan Gilbert, Cal Raleigh, and George Kirby will command. The problem is that, as we've seen with the Mariners,
this baseball team.
Exactly. They don't want to go above a certain number, even though, they've increased payroll minusculely over the last, 4 to 5 years or whatever. And would extensions for these guys just put the Mariners in an uncomfortable spot, a spot that they just don't want to do business at? I think all three of them would command salaries well north of $100 million over the duration of a contract. You're probably looking at three salaries that are above what where they tender guys like 20-something million dollars. So you're looking at probably like 25, 26 million per year for all of these guys. And then, with Cal Raleigh being a top 2 or 3 catcher in baseball and a tremendous fielder, tremendous hitter, like you're looking at pretty significant raises for all of these guys.
I just feel like if you're going to be philosophically a draft, develop, trade team, and then you have drafted pieces or pieces that you've developed from young ages or as prospects work. That's what no, but I'm saying, like, I feel like the second part that we always forget to talk about is, okay, what if you draft, developed, and then pay? Like, don't forget that part. Like, this worked out for you.
Mm-hmm.
You developed these guys. You hit on these guys. You can't move on. That's the entire point. That's the entire point of what you're doing, is that we don't hit free agency and overspend. We're not going to throw a ton of money or, try to acquire like this massive name via trade. We're going to find our guys in-house. Okay, you did it.
What was there? Is draft, develop what?
And trade.
And trade. They're telling us. They're telling us to our face.
I hate that.
Draft, develop, and trade, but maybe there are exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
And you would hope that these three are the exceptions to the rule.
Yesterday, you and I answered the question of who is the most important Mariner in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I was boring. And I said
I went a
Julio.
little, I went a little weird with it.
Experimental.
Yeah.
But I liked it. John Morosi had a different answer than either of us. He said outside of Julio. His answer is Mitch Garver.
I'll say Mitch Garver, and the reason is that while you could make an argument for any number of players, Garver was brought in a year ago to be a middle-of-the-order bat to effectively form the foundation, if not the foundation, then the middle or the heart of the order, the fulcrum, if you will, to be there with Polanco alongside what Cal Raleigh does, and certainly Julio, and it just didn't happen in year one. Did not happen. And for a team that we have seen this year not really be able to invest much in free agency, you do not have the luxury of missing.
I had to have like a refresh in my memory of like, yes, you did bring Garver in to be a middle-of-the-order bat.
Yep.
Like, kind of gotta.
I mean, and that's going to be a spot this year too, So I like that. I like thinking. That's not even thinking outside the box. That's just like, look, all right, you get to the middle of that order, you're going to need some pop. And this is why you brought him here. He cannot afford to have the type of year that he had last year. Honestly, I think that when we talk about the most important Mariner, outside of Julio, you can go several places, right? You can go Cal. You can go Mitch. I went JP looking for a backup year. You can go Rosarena to try to take some pressure off of him. You can go Victor, see if he can tap in to what we saw last year. It's Julio and everybody else, because there are two things that need to go. Julio needs to have a great season. The arms need to stay healthy and going, and now everybody else needs to contribute. Second base needs to be figured out. Solano needs to be the leader that he's supposed to be and just hit for contact. There are things that need to happen with this ball club, and the more we talk about it, the more things keep popping up, and that concerns me, right? Because you look at the top rosters in the game, they're like, yeah, let's go. Let's just play. Let's line it up. We're going to be good to go. But this is the Mariners, and I'm becoming accustomed to having to rely on some pieces that most teams wouldn't have to.
Well, and this is also a little bit of it's not just looking to Mitch Garver saying you have to be the second best bat and that's just your job. I think Morosi, intentionally or unintentionally, is also saying that the Mariners need to back it up. You know, hey, the most important player, well, that would be the one that the Mariners thought would be the second most important player. Like, what have they indicated to us? They indicated to us that Garver was being brought here to be an impactful bat. They didn't say we're bringing a super utility guy. Hey, we're just signing like a veteran leader. No, like that was kind of the plan with Garver. So you have to then follow up on your plan and deliver. So we've got some sound here. John Morosi talking about the Mariners following the Royals model.
It should be the way that good franchises operate. The Kansas City Royals don't exactly play in a large market in the U.S., and they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to a massive deal, somewhat similar a little bit to Julio. I believe that his AAV is even higher for Witt than it was for Julio. You look around, they brought in and kept Seth Lugo. They brought in and they've kept Waka. They've signed other of their key younger players to extensions. So that's the smart money. The smart money is getting that deal done before it becomes urgent, because at some point, and this is the uncomfortable part for Mariner fans to think about this, at some point, if you can't sign them, the prudent thing becomes to trade them. Now, I'm not saying that they will do that, but that's what the market dynamics would suggest.
So sign those guys before you need to. Those extensions we just talked about, Kirby, Cal, Logan, sign them as soon as you can.
Just get in front of it. Get in front of the dollars, essentially. And that's the smart way to do it. And I think that's essentially why they signed Julio so early. They're like, all right, let's get in front of it. We've seen a year of this guy. We think he's going to be great. He can be worth 2 or 3 times more than what we're willing to give him. So let's do that. And I like the example of the Kansas City Royals and Bobby Witt Jr., who I just love watching play baseball, man. It's all about timing, and that's what most contracts are. It's about timing. Timing for the player, can you maximize your talents and what you're worth? And then timing for the organization, can you get that player to where he is at his cheapest for his development and his attributes and what he brings to the table. Timing's everything, and the timing better be right with Cal, Logan, and Kirby.
I also liked Morosi low-key saying, stop hiding behind the shield of being a small market team. For any team, for any of these teams. And by the way, there's a difference between being a really small market team and being the 12th or 13th biggest market, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like you're a middle-class team. You are not going to spend like the Dodgers, and you fundamentally can, and really no other team can, except for maybe the Yankees. But also no one's asking you to. No one asked you to be in on the Juan Soto, like maybe for fun, but no one realistically thought you were going to be a bidder for Juan Soto as a free agent. It was, well, can you trade for Juan Soto and get him for a year? You know, like that. I think there are fair expectations with what people want the Mariners to do. I think that expecting a mid-market team to act like a mid-market team, to develop their stars and then keep their stars at the very least, is fair.
Hey, act your age.
You know?
Act your age.
There's a little bit of this kind of like, Mariners, no offense, but you are not San Diego. Like, I know that we like to talk about the Mariners as like this mom and pop shop, and they have obstacles. They have obstacles that some teams do not. It is not going to be easy to build a World Series contender here.
But when you have World Series components,
oh, that's so well said. Bars.
You keep them. You got to keep them.
That's exactly how I feel. When you have, yes, those World Series components, like, stop trading them to try to slice and dice and like think that you can rebuild again and just go off of young guys. Like, just for goodness sakes.
Hey, it's lock her down. She's a good one. Lock her down.
Come on, Mariners. Okay. We're going to keep it moving to one more here. Of course, we have to talk about opening day starters. Biggest current conversation about this team. John Morosi asked who his opening day starter would be.
I would go with Gilbert. I really would, because I think he has earned it. He, to me, seems like he's got a chance to be the cornerstone starter for this team for a long time. I certainly could argue Kirby is that same guy. Miller's the same guy. I mean, they've got just an abundance of excellent young pitchers. But I just look at what Gilbert did last year and believe that he deserves that assignment. Now, we'll see what happens, and certainly the Mariners have any number of different options that would fit that description. Castillo's had that honor before. I think Gilbert's time has arrived. And again, that's not going to get the long-term deal done or do anything of a financial perspective that Mariner fans want, but it would be a nice show of a homegrown guy to get the ball on opening day My pick right now would be Logan Gilbert.
That's the second expert we've heard say Logan Gilbert. Adam Jude was pretty adamant. He said Logan Gilbert, and that decision takes me 10 seconds to make. It's so easy.
I'm being swayed. I'm being swayed.
Oh?
Because I want Castillo because of just his resume, right?
Sure.
He's earned it. We know that Logan and Kirby, Miller, like that's the future. We know that. We understand that. And I even think Castillo understands it. There was a story that I heard about Castillo yesterday where Logan Gilbert reached some type of milestone and he left a watch at his locker and then just left. Didn't even sit there and ask for the praise and just left and kind of let Logan go through the emotion of it or whatnot, and they talked on the field. Hearing that story right there makes me even more comfortable with Logan being the guy because it shows you that Castillo ain't about all the hype and the shine and all that stuff. He just wants to be a part of something great. Me being an older statesman, I'm looking at the 32-year-old and saying, man, give him one more because this would be his last opportunity to be an opening day starter. But when you hear these experts talk about Logan, and it makes even more sense. It's like I'm just being convinced over and over and over again. It's like, yeah, the emotional pick is Castillo, but when we talk about pure talent and the future of this organization, it's Logan Gilbert.
All right, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the NFL will use Hawkeye technology to measure first downs in 2025. What's the real headline?
How many of those will be by tush push, though? Obviously, this is not a joke. It's just about how many rules and how many new technologies are currently under review for the NFL. Will the tush push be back? Are we going to use this technology to measure first downs? Are overtime rules going to change? That's going to be a later headline, though.
Yeah, I'm happy that they are expanding, right? The NFL, you are the most successful league in this country, billions upon billions of dollars. It's time to invest in making sure that it's as efficient as possible. And the first thing I thought about was the chain game. It's something that's there in football, right? You see these guys dropping the chain and running when ball carriers are running their way. It's just a part of the game. So I thought about Papa Joe, who's going to be holding the chain. I'm thinking, is he out of a job? He's not going to be out of a job. They will be the secondary or second method when it comes to measuring the ball if something were to go wrong. So he's still going to be employed. One thing that frustrated me about this whole story was that you are clearly investing money into more cameras to make sure that you're able to see the football, track it, and be accurate when it comes to a spot. There were times when there were no cameras in the front pylons because the NFL said it costs too much. It costs too much. You clearly have the money for this. NFL, stop being stingy with your pockets. You are the most profitable league in this country, but I'm glad that you are giving this a go. They tried it out in 2024, I read. I don't know where they tried it out. I think maybe it was preseason or something. Who knows? But thank you for trying it out and get it done. I like this, man. Let's be as accurate as possible because if we were accurate, Josh Allen might have been in the Super Bowl.
Now, Matt, when I say the NFL will use Hawkeye technology, what do you think of?
I think, why is Jeremy Renner going to start working for the NFL?
I knew that that's where your mind would go. I was
I'm
like,
sorry.
I know that Matt right now is just thinking about Hawkeye and the Avengers or whatever it is that Hawkeye is doing.
This does not seem like a valid use of an Avengers time, if I'm being completely honest with you, but everyone else seems excited, so sure, go with
They
it.
just have Jeremy Renner out there with his bow and arrow, just like, where do you spot it, Jeremy?
I mean, he'd be really good at that.
I think
That's like
so.
his whole thing.
Yeah.
Headline rewrites.
Before Matt puts us to sleep,
Hey,
headline number
Curtis.
2. 49ers GM John Lynch says they've begun extension talks with Brock Purdy and will respect Deebo Samuel's wishes to be traded. What's the real headline?
I can think of 60 million reasons they'd need to be comfortable moving on from Deebo. That's right. Brock Purdy's about to get paid.
Yeah, Purdy's about to get that paper, man. And even if you don't think he's as good as the elite, right? You have Dak Prescott getting $60 million a year, Joe Burrow 55, Trevor Lawrence 55, Love 55, Tua 53. So what? He's been to a conference championship. He's been to a Super Bowl, and it's his time to get paid. This is the biggest come up in NFL history. You are Mr. Irrelevant. Stacy, you pointed out Mr. Irrelevant hasn't even thrown a forward pass in the league until Brock Purdy. They have their guy, and it's time for him to get paid. And if we're just talking about talent-wise, then that's different. I'd put him around just a slightly above average quarterback, right? And get paid maybe $35, $40 million. But that's not who he is to the 49ers. Shanahan has his guy. You're bringing over Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator over there. You don't want to mess this up. We talked earlier about how important the quarterback position is. Does a defensive player affect the game the same way a quarterback does? No, they don't. The quarterback touches the ball every single play. He makes decisions that help or hurt the football team, and they trust Brock Purdy's decision-making. It is his time to get paid. Drop $55 million on my man, and let's get moving.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, NFL executive Troy Vincent says it's time to rethink the league's regular season overtime rules. What's the real headline?
I know we love hating on NFL brass, but you're not going to hear anyone complain about more football. Interesting stat on this one. Prior to 2011, it was a little closer to 50-50, but what's probably influencing Vincent and the rest of the NFL is that since 2011, and particularly since 2017, the receiving team in these games wins nearly 60% of the time.
Score a touchdown and you win. Simple as that. They've made adjustments, right? Because it used to be just kick a field goal and you're in there. Then the Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes situation kind of changed that. But I like this. You want the players to have an opportunity. It's like in college football, or if you watch soccer, penalty kicks, right? You have a chance. You get 5, I get 5. You get 1, I get 1. I think that's the way games should be decided. I don't like the sudden death type of thing or aspect when it comes to this, because just because one side of the ball executed for this drive doesn't mean the other side ain't gonna be able to execute. I like this. I like the college rules. The only part I don't like about the college football overtime rules is that they're starting too close to the end zone. I think it's the 20 or the 25. I say move them back to the 40-yard line and make them go at it. If the NFL were to adopt something like that, so be it. If not, then just give both teams a chance to win or lose the ball game, and that's the possession each. That's the best way. Imagine seeing the greats go at it, like Lamar and Pat and Josh and throw Tua in there, whoever, right? It's about the quarterbacks. You're paying these dudes $50 to $60 million. Let them go out there and decide a football game for you. I hope the NFL changes the game. I like this.
Well, and I think the initial thought, or maybe worry, I guess, from some people was, oh, well, if you're just going back and forth, games can keep. No. It just gives both teams a chance to possess the ball, with the lone exception being like a safety or a defensive score against the receiving team, obviously, because then it's like, well, we don't need to get it. We already scored.
Right.
We got a safety. We got a pick 6, whatever it is. I think it makes the game fair. The game's evolved, and the NFL is evolving its rules. It's that time of the day, which is where a Mariners spring training game is starting and everyone is yelling. And I need to remind you.
Mariners.
I know. I'm like, so not only do I not get to sit in the beautiful sunshine in spring training, but you also get people going, I hate you. Where is the game? And you're like, I'm sorry. But I will tell you where it is. Yeah, I'm just doing my job. I would love to be listening to a game too. But you can check out the alternate stream, and it is free on the Seattle Sports app, which is very cool. You can bounce back and forth if you want. So if you open up the Seattle Sports app, you'll see it'll automatically be playing our live programming. So you'll see Bump and Ice faces staring at you. But if you go just below that, you can do the alternate stream for the Mariners spring training game. These are for all games. And then we'll have a couple games that are live broadcasted. And then obviously every single regular season game will be broadcasted live. If you don't want to listen to the app and you're just not an app person, first of all, I do highly recommend it. There are articles, lots of really cool stuff. You can listen to regular season games, but we do a tape delay that'll be after Wyman and Bob. So if you're like, I want to listen on the radio, I love the sound of listening to the game on the radio, then a couple hours, 7 p.m., Matt, is about when that game airs, around 7 following Wyman and Bob?
Yes, first pitch at 7:10 tonight.
Okay. So just a heads up for you guys with that. Okay, so we are pretty heavy baseball for the second hour here. The Athletics' Jayson Stark is going to join us at 1 p.m. He's been tracking the robot ump situation. He's out in the Grapefruit League, so in Florida right now. Some interesting stuff happening there. We obviously will ask him about the Mariners offseason, what he makes about this team, guys he's particularly excited to see. We do still have some NFL news to get to. Ian Rappaport gave his side of his dust up with Jordan Schultz and the Pat McAfee show. We guys told you the drama that broke out between these two. I feel so petty for liking
In
this story.
Starbucks.
You know
Here's
what
the
I
thing.
mean? In a Starbucks.
You ever see like a confrontation of two people and you're like, nothing's going to happen. I'm good. But then you see another confrontation. You're like, yeah, it's about to go down. Y'all clear the tables and stuff. Get out the way. I wonder what the feeling was looking at those two go
If I told you
head-to-head.
nothing and I just said Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport are in each other's faces right now, would you think someone would swing?
No, not at all.
Okay, but what if someone swung first? Do you think it would be Ian or would it be Jordan?
I would say Jordan.
Me too, I think.
Yeah, I'll say Jordan.
Yeah. Maybe you just got youth on your side.
There you go.
You still believe in yourself. All right, taking a look around the NFL next.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What part of football has changed, and do you like it?
2-point conversions. Like, we are chasing points. The game has changed. 2-point conversions and fourth downs. So we're seeing coaches dive into the data like a lot of people do with baseball. And I like it, and it is weird at the same time because I'm not used to seeing these fourth down conversions or attempts and these 2-point conversions.
For Down Territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
No more football for me means I'm ready for an escape, and since my weekends are free, I'm looking for something fun, relaxing, and with some entertainment built in. I got just a place for you, Silver Reef Casino Resort. They got a hotel, they got a spa, they got multiple restaurants, including the best steakhouse north of Seattle and the brand new The Cantina. They also have concerts and events. Hold up. And they got some golf, so you know when the weather is nice, your boy is back out there. It's all systems go for Silver Reef Casino and Resort. Don't try to tell me it's too far. You're going to spend more time in traffic this weekend getting little Bobby to his games. Hop on I-5 North and you're basically there. You can even fill up. They have some of the cheapest gas around. Join Reef Resorts for free and you'll get 10% off at the resort. Don't wait. Visit Silver Reef Casino Resort, silverreefcasino.com, and book your stay today. There's something for everyone at Silver Reef Casino.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal split and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ooh, got a dash light on? The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can read your check engine, ABS, and other warning lights to help you find the fix. You'll get an easy-to-read report with clear next steps. And we can recommend a trusted local shop if you need one. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service with shop referral. Only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
The Gene Simmons Band, live Tuesday, April 8th at Muckleshoot Event Center. He's the God of Thunder. He's gonna rock and roll all night and bring you an unforgettable night of head-banging rock and roll. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. the Gene Simmons Band, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Calling all pickleballers, Champions of Change and Safeway announced a multi-city pickleball tournament, including celebrity games with Seahawks legends Doug Baldwin, Mike Bennett, Cliff Averill, and more. In collaboration, Nourishing Champions campaign will be raising awareness and accepting donations to provide nutritious foods for student athletes in under-resourced high schools. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout. Open to all. The tournaments are in Seattle, Lacey, and Spokane. Register today at championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy
Weekdays 10 to 2.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Time to take a look around the NFL. We are going to start with Ian Rappaport giving his side of his dust up with Jordan Schultz on the Pat McAfee Show.
Last night when it all broke, everyone in the world texted me wanting to know details, and it was all out there. Florio basically wrote the whole thing, so there's not much to add.
Wow.
And then I woke up this morning, and everyone in the world has texted me.
Well, we all are happy that you're both okay. We'd like to let that be known. Yeah. With that being said, what is next? Are you guys going to shake hands before you get out of town, or what do we think?
I mean,
That's a no. Wants to see him anymore. Rap sheet, hard pass on the handshake.
My role in this,
He's going to the coffee bean and tea leaf from now on.
Yeah, absolutely. Not another penny.
There's actually a lot of great coffee brands at Dunkin'.
Look, I'll have you know that Jordan Schultz has pinned his initial tweet to his profile.
Really?
I think I'm standing by this story, by the way.
I like that. Say it with your chest. Stand on business. All that good stuff, man. This is funny that we're talking about two reporters going at it in a Starbucks.
I can't stop talking about this.
That's like such a privileged place to have a beef. Beefing at a Starbucks.
Let me push my Mac aside for just a second. One moment here.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever
Hold
seen
my latte.
any drama go down in a Starbucks. I've been to plenty in my life.
Never in my entire life. Well, no, I saw a video one time of, no, never mind, that was a Jamba Juice. I'm moving on. Pat McAfee, speaking of, has reported that Travis Kelce will be back for a 14th season in 2025. Patrick Mahomes retweets it with he's pleased. He's happy.
He's pleased.
He's pleased.
Yeah, he better be, man. They're the best connection in NFL history, especially in the playoffs. So you want your guy to come back. Last year was the first time I saw Travis Kelce really take a step back, right? He never really was an explosive player, but he looked a bit slow. Looked like he was waiting to get hit at some point. But he's still one of the best to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
So Pat Mahomes has to be happy. They're going to have Rasheed Rice back next year. Hollywood Brown's going to be there. We'll see if Kareem Hunt signs another deal. I think he signed a 1-year deal. They got to do some things without offensive line. With all that being said, they were still in the Super Bowl. So whenever you have the quarterback, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce together, you give yourself a chance.
Kelce had some moments. Like, I'm not going to say, like, you had a bad year. It was a down year for Travis
For him, it was
Kelce.
down,
Exactly.
He was balling.
However, given his age, I wonder, like, normally, like with you look at Reek Woolen and you're like, you haven't had a season like your rookie year, but you're young. Like, you're a corner. Like, there's room for growth and a step forward there. I don't even know what to expect from Travis Kelce in 2025. I don't know that I'm expecting better numbers. I'm just like, what role does he even have in this offense now? Which sounds so stupid to say, but it must be in some ways a slightly diminished one.
Yeah, a little bit, because you got youth on the outside. I didn't even mention Xavier Worthy, who's probably going to be the #1 receiver next year. Still, about half of his catches went for a first down. And when you're Travis Kelce, that's what you need from him. First downs, touchdowns. He only had 3 of them things last year. But you get into the red zone, you'll be fine. I think if he puts up 800 to 900 yards again next year, that'll be all right.
Benjamin Albright might be hinting at a super trade. He said this morning, would not be surprised to see a trade in the top 5 of the draft to get to number 1. A large trade, a giant one, Titanic, if you will. Is Benjamin Albright hinting that the Giants and Titans could swap picks?
Ooh-wee. Yeah. I mean, if you read between the lines, or actually just read.
If you read the words.
You just read the words. A giant pick. That would be interesting because if the Giants go number 1, then it should have Sanders, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think Deion would be okay with him going there. I think he has the mental to handle the New York media. I think Cam Ward has the mental to handle it as well, but he just fits it. He's Showtime. He's look at me, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't say that as a negative. I think to be a great athlete, you got to have that look at me. I'm the man. I'm about to do this thing here. So the Giants get to number 1. Yeah, Sanders is going to be in New York, teamed up with Malik Neighbors, and it should be interesting.
All right, well, let's go to another top prospect here, Travis Hunter. The teams atop the NFL draft, so in addition to the Giants at 3, Titans at Browns at 1 at 2, are kind of split on what Travis Hunter should play at the pro level. Here's Titans head coach Brian Callahan.
He's a unique player that there's not a whole lot of other players you could compare what he's done. There's not many guys that have played that many snaps on both sides of the ball. And you watch his tape and you see his ability to play both at a very high level. So, I think anybody that you talk to about him is going to say the same thing, that he's got the ability to play both, and that I think you're going to find out where he fits if you were to get him. But he's got a really unique ability to do a lot of different things. I would say you probably start him. He probably starts at corner, and then you find ways to interject him into the offense as he gets more comfortable. He plays more and more offensively. But I think his corner is probably his starting point. In my opinion, you might get varying opinions on that, but and I think he's got a real role as a receiver.
You will get varying opinions on that because here's Browns GM Andrew Berry.
Well, I'd say this, in terms of Travis Hunter, cornerback or receiver, the answer is yes. So he can play both, and I think that's what makes him special. We would see him as a receiver primarily first, but I think part of what makes him a bit of a unicorn is the fact that he can do both at a high level.
Both the Titans and both the Titans and Browns have acknowledged that Travis Hunter can play both and can do it well. The Titans see him as a DB first, wide receiver second. The Browns see him as a wide receiver first and a DB second. How do you see him?
DB first, wide receiver second. And the reason why I say DB is because when I watch him play wideout, ball skills are crazy. He can catch the football, but he didn't have to and didn't show that he's a real route runner. He can fill space, get to the right spots, and the timing will be okay. But once you get to the NFL, you got to have him routes, plus all the other things that he has. At the DB spot is where, to me, he's more natural and fluid. It's get deeper than the deepest, open your hips and run, get downhill and break on the ball. I think that's why we see a lot of success with rookies on the defensive side of the ball, because it's more of a raw athletic position. Offensively, you got to be a bit more tactful and precise. I think he can play wideout, but if I'm starting him right now, it's DB, and then we sprinkle him in at wideout.
All right, well, Travis Hunter is going to go early. He's not going to be in play at all for the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to be picking at pick number 18. It's an interesting spot. I mean, it's one thing when you're picking at 5 and you know that you can get a blue chip player. When you're picking at 9 and you can find your franchise tackle. 18, a little tricky. Will they trade back? Will they take the best available talent there? Adam Schefter has an interesting take on what that separation of talent or drop-off in talent looks like after 10.
The strength of this draft, according to the people who have really dug
Insiders,
into it,
yes, all the people you've talked to, yeah.
personnel people, middle rounds, 3, 4, 5. A lot of good depth and talent there. And I think the feeling is that the player you get at number 10 in this draft is similar to the player that you get at 35. Jeez. Wow. So there's a group in there where there's not a huge separation.
That is interesting, especially a year after last year's class when it was quarterback. You're seeing all these offensive players go, and it's clear like there's first-round offensive talent here. This is more of like a day 2 is going to wild. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, I love it, but we've also spoken to people before, and they say the same thing. They push back to like 15. After 15, it kind of all blends in. No, I like this. This is good. That means that the drama will be done early. And then after that, this is where I think people start going for need. If it's 10 to 35, you're going to go for what you need and who you like if the difference isn't that huge. So now that just goes against everything that I was saying when we heard Boyle talk, and he says they're going to go for best available at 18. If this is true, if the talent is the same from 10 to 35 or similar, then I think you go for exactly who you want.
Bump, the other day during 4 Down Territory, you were talking about the reasoning behind people wanting to ban the tush push and whether or not it would be a good idea. And you said, look, maybe if there were injuries, but I don't remember a single one, and I'm going to need to look into those numbers. Well, the NFL says there were no injuries sustained by players on tush push plays in 2024.
38 ACLs, 100 and something concussions, and none of that involved the tush push. McDermott, I'm so disappointed in you, man. I respect you as a man, as a coach, but throwing it out there that, the risk of injury. There's a risk of injury every time you step on that football field. That's just how the game goes in most sports, but especially in football. So thank you, NFL, for doing this research so I don't have to do it. But I'm telling you, I watched many tush pushes, never saw a game stopped or a player hobbling off the field because he was banged up. The reason why there aren't a lot of injuries is because the impact isn't great there.
Yeah.
It's so quick. Now, guys can get rolled up on legs and get tangled and stuff. I understand that. But the real injuries come when there is speed and force. And right there, you just got force. So thank you, NFL. And stop crying about the tush push.
I'm trying to remember the last time a play or something was banned that was not related to injury. Like, tuck rule, no. The idea was like, maybe that's going pretty far back. Jumping the line was related to injury, I think, even though, you could make the case that it's just kind of like, why are you punishing great defensive players? But everything else, where you tackle guys, horse collar, defenseless receiver, hip drop tackle, exactly. Like, all of these things have injury-related reasons that people are at least trying to make. What has the NFL banned completely unrelated to injury? If anyone can think of one that isn't from forever ago.
I could see them modifying the tush push. Because I think people make a good point.
All tush, no push.
Pushing, it's tush. Wait till it gets to the line of scrimmage, then you can push.
But then we're just eyeing the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Was this running back's back heel over the line of scrimmage?
Well, it's about the ball. So thankfully, we have Hawkeye now. So that'll take care of that.
Exactly. All right. Last story. I'll be very fast. The Atlanta Falcons aren't bothering with the offensive side of the ball at the Combine. They're only scouting defensive players and only sent their defensive staff to Indy.
They said Drake London, we good. Kyle Pitts, we good. Bijan Robinson, we good. Algier, we're good. Michael Penix, we good. Skill-wise, they're straight. I don't know about the offensive line, but they're good.
A lot of top 10 picks invested there. The Athletics' Jayson Stark joins us at 1. Don't go anywhere.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Ladies, and you guys too, have you noticed visible signs of aging, those deep wrinkles, fine lines, and facial creases stealing your youthful glow? Sagging skin, crow's feet, and loss of facial contour are all natural effects of aging, but you no longer have to let them define your appearance. Introducing the New Skin Lift, the groundbreaking facelift led by Dr. Brian Scott. The advanced New Skin Lift addresses key signs of facial aging for women and men, restoring natural youthful contours. Whether it's replenishing volume lost over time or lifting the skin to smooth out those creases, the New Skin Lift can help you look 10 to 20 years younger with both surgical and non-surgical options. It's Hollywood's best kept secret and now available to you. Get a free consultation and save $250 off your New Skin facelift. Schedule at newskinlift.com or 206-222-1225. Look 10 to 20 years younger and restore your youthful appearance with the New Skin facelift. newskinlift.com.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messingthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. With thousands of full replacements with expert craftsmanship and unbeatable warranties, we've been building roofs you can trust for over 5 decades. It's more than just a job, it's our promise to you. Protect your investment with a free Golden Pledge warranty on all GAF roof replacements over $15,000. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Jay Leno, live Wednesday, April 9th at Muckleshoot Event Center. Come laugh it up with one of comedy's living legends. No politics, no lectures, just jokes, and they're all clean. Get your tickets before they sell out at muckleshootcasino.com. Jay Leno live Wednesday, April 9th, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Muckleshoot. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You know, I was just thinking, gosh, so many players, you know, Deebo Samuel, you recently had some Rams, Matthew Stafford, and one of their guards given permission to seek a trade. And I was like, look at the Seahawks. No one wants to go.
Psych.
Just kidding. From Jordan Schultz, the Seahawks have given safety Rayshon Jenkins permission to seek a trade. Seattle finally got one. Finally got a permission to seek a trade player. So anyway, that's just an update for you guys. That is not what we're talking about here, but wanted to update you on the latest. We are going to take a listen to a lot of what Cal Raleigh had to say. This was in an interview with Brock and Salk, and he had some really cool stuff to say about the pitching staff, and we are going to get to some of that, some good stuff about Dan Wilson. But they also asked Cal about the offseason, and I found that Cal is willing to be pretty candid. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
And it makes it difficult when you come up short because, it's not just you're failing yourself, you're failing your teammates, your coaches, but you're failing, fans and people that invest time and money because at the end of the day, the game is about the people who, care about us and the people who come out to the games and the city. And that's what makes it so much harder is, it's not just, we're not just failing as a, team that year where we're failing other people. And, I think it's tough because we made it and we saw how much joy and how much it brought to people and how much it meant to them. And, to come up short, it's like you don't want to come up short again because of, how it makes those people feel and how many people are relying on you, in that kind of sense of after you've been there and done that and how many people it kind of touches. And that's kind of makes it kind of bigger than baseball.
I think every fan base gets disappointed when their team doesn't make the playoffs. But there is something unique to the Mariners and that feeling of inevitability when for 20-plus years you don't, that I think a lot of players started adopting maybe like, I'm shouldering that now.
Oh, yeah, naturally. Because they're on the diamond. They hear the boos when they boo. They hear the moans and the groans when things don't go right. And then they're connected. Back in my day, Twitter was just getting going. Like, we didn't hear much from fans about how they don't like this player or that player or expressing their feelings. So I was on a 4-12 team and kind of lived my life like, oh, all right.
You didn't have someone tweeting at you directly. How dare you?
Tweeting at me, Mom, you fumbled. What were you doing? None of that. But these young men and women, athletes across the world, are living in that world where the fans can talk directly to them. And growing up, I ain't talked to Kobe. I ain't talked to Shaq. I just watched him on TV. So you combine that with the drought that was here, that was broken a couple years ago, and they naturally feel that weight because you get late in the season and you're a few games behind. Or even last year, we got a 10-game lead, and you're feeling good about it, and then you let some games get away, and then you have to win this game to get into the playoffs. It's just pressure, man. It's natural pressure that they're going to feel. You can feel it with any team, but when you're dealing with a team that's been to the playoffs once in 20-something years, it's even heavier.
He had some good stuff to say about new manager Dan Wilson.
Well, I think you guys all know how awesome he is as a person, right? I mean, everybody loves Dan Wilson, but I think kind of the fierceness side of him, the competitor side of him is a real thing, and he has that kind of fire. I think it's maybe you don't see it as much because in the day-to-day he's such a nice guy and he's so good with everybody, with relationships and things like that. So, but the guy wants to win. The guy, has that kind of fire in his belly as far as he wanting to go out there and compete and win and not take crap from anybody. So that's the side I think you'll see on the manager side. The thing maybe you haven't seen quite yet. But the guy, he wants to do it the right way, and he wants to get this thing done.
I'm curious to see that version of Dan Wilson. Like the fiery, because in person, I've only met him one time in person. Really nice, really professional, really low key. And you can't gauge how good a manager someone's going to be from that. But, like, it's not like he was, like, fiery and commanding in person where you're like, this guy's scary.
Yeah, I mean, we met with Service, too, and he didn't, in that setting that we were in, he didn't have that. But we also saw Service leave the dugout and mix it up with the Angels. What I mean?
Oh, I was rooting for it every time Service got ejected.
Yes, but
so proud of him.
We have to listen to the players, especially the leaders, right? If Cal is around Dan and he's already felt that from him, he's not going to come up on the mic and spit some fake stuff. Like we saw JSN try to dance around some comments. I don't think it's in these athletes to put out fake. Like they will give you generic, but I don't think they'll give you like extremely fake when it comes to describing who a person is, especially when it's one of their leaders. And then Cal has a different connection with Dan. They're both catchers. And I'm sure Dan opens up differently with Cal than he would with other players. But that's Dan's job, is to connect with guys and let them or make them believe that he's in this with them. And if Cal is saying it, it's a great place to start.
Cal was asked if they have a team right now that he believes will make the playoffs.
We do. I'm really excited. I've liked what I've seen so far with the guys. They're ready to go, and I'm ready to go to war with these guys. It's they've had great off seasons, and I know we're all really excited about what's to come, and I think we're ready to take that challenge on and take that next step.
There is no world when a player on any team says that no, he doesn't believe he and his teammates can make the playoffs. However, what I'll ask you instead, Bump, is do you see a Mariners team that can make the playoffs? Like there's a path where this happens.
Oh, there's a path. There's a way. And we spent a lot of time talking about it. Julio starting off hot. Rosarena doing his thing. Like Polanco bouncing back. JP. I can name 6 or 7 guys in situations to where this needs to happen. But another reason why I think it's possible is because of the division, right? We were talking about it earlier. The Astros don't look like the Astros of old to where we're crossing our fingers and praying. Now, they still got talent. Let's not get it twisted. They still should be projected to win this division. But, you know, with the projections of the players that we have combined with what has and hasn't happened across the division, of course there's a chance. I think they've had a legit chance to make the playoffs the last 3 or 4 seasons. It's just at the end of the year, did you take care of enough business earlier in the season to where you're not as stressed? And you and I and Curtis have sat here before and talked about the series that got away from them that is biting them in the butt towards the end. So the biggest indicator for me is going to be the first couple of months of the year. It's no longer, right, we're done with it's early. We're done. That's kicking it to the curb. Okay, we got some veterans here, some experienced players now. They're getting more hacks in Peoria right now, which is great. Let's transfer that over to the regular season.
Let's stick with the Mariners with the Athletics. Jayson Stark, he joins us next.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Our opportunity to sit down with the catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Is this the ceiling, or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You know, you look at like striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. You know, even the catching side of it, you know, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and you also don't want to lose the things you're good at.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The wait is over. Hey, it's your old pal, the Graz here, inviting you to come celebrate the grand reopening of Jackson Park's driving range. They are throwing a party and everyone is invited. They'll have new range balls, mats and targets, music on the range, and face painting for the kids, so bring the whole family. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well. That's right. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well. How about free 10-minute lessons after 2 p.m., food specials, and of course, plenty to drink. All day Saturday, the grand reopening of Jackson Park's spanking new driving range.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Discover LeMay, America's Car Museum in Tacoma. Explore 300 world-class cars, 100 years of history, and the Shinka exhibit with 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Thrilling race simulators and fun for the whole family. Visit AmericasCarMuseum.org.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going to pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month, and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account imported on $60 plan. First service charge, tax to its sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires pre-post and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Abdul Carter, the potential #1 pick in the draft, has a stress reaction in his right foot. However, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said doctors have advised him against having surgery, adding, quote, "I couldn't be more confident this will be a non-factor where he's drafted. He will put on a show at his pro day." Also coming from the Combine, an interesting quote from NFL executive Troy Vincent. Apparently, the NFL is considering a change to overtime rules. One solution could be extending postseason overtime rules, which allows the team that didn't possess the ball first a chance to score even if the first team scores a touchdown to the regular season.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. He is a baseball writer for The Athletic and host of the Starkville Pod. It's Jayson Stark joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Jayson, we haven't had a chance to talk to you much about the offseason, so even though we're already a week into spring training, I'm actually going to start a couple months back. All eyes here in Seattle were on, look, the Mariners need to add offense. What are they going to do? What are the moves going to be? And we knew it wouldn't be Juan Soto. So once the big signings were out of the way, we were just waiting and then waiting and waiting. And it was a surprisingly quiet offseason for Seattle. Were you surprised by the lack of moves for the Mariners and maybe a couple other teams around the league?
Wait, you didn't know you were waiting for Rowdy Tellez? That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course I was surprised because you guys know Jerry's personality as well as I do. And is this an off-season that seemed like it matched Jerry DePoto's MO? No. Not to me, not to anybody. And so I do think it was odd in that respect, and I think it reflects how much financial pressure he was clearly under. So, I mean, if you were waiting for that big offensive improvement to come from the outside, I think it's safe to say that never happened, which doesn't mean they can't be better, don't you think?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, actually, because what we've been sold is that, look, Julio's going to play better. Rosarena's going to play better. Victor Robles, they're really painting the picture that, look, we already have the guys here. We're just going to sprinkle in a veteran or two, and we're going to be fine. What do you think about that approach? I think we all feel like these guys are capable of getting it done, but we've seen this story a lot of times here in Seattle, Jayson.
Yeah, well, as you know, the park suppresses offense, and that's shown up. But, I mean, if you just think about it logically, Julio at this stage of his career should be hitting another gear. So I don't think there's any doubt he can be better, and maybe way better, superstar better. I mean, just if you watch any of those MLB top 10 right now shows this year, who was the number one center fielder in baseball according to that shredder? It was Julio. So there's way more there. Randy Arozarena, there is way more there. Jorge Polanco, his track record is very different than what everybody saw last year. J.P. Crawford, there's more there. And so I accept the premise that there's room for growth and possibly big growth in the group. There's only one trouble. There has to be, because that's how they decided to go into this season, hoping that those guys are better. And I know there's that old expression, hope is not a strategy, but it turned out to be the strategy.
It's never fair to have to be the savior for an organization because you'll never meet expectation, right? How many times did we have conversations about Bryce Harper, a number of high prospects or guys with the just the weight of expectation on them, and it was never enough. With Julio, he's set a ton of franchise records. Jayson, you know this. Like, he's been maybe the most talented player to come through this park in, 20 years? And yet, his slow starts, maybe not quite having like a clutch factor, I think has left some fans feeling a little disappointed, a little worried. And I think some people changing their maybe their feeling about his ceiling. Have you? Like, what do you see as Julio's ceiling? What do you kind of expect from him as a player?
I think it's still a superstar ceiling. And, I can't say I know Julio that well in my conversations with him. He feels to me like a guy who sets the bar incredibly high. It's one of my philosophies in life that you can't be great at anything unless you aspire to be great. And I really do think he's chasing greatness. He's being paid to be great. My one reservation is that there's so much weight placed on a guy who just turned 24 years old, right, or will play this year at 24. That's a lot of responsibility. I would love to see some guys around him who could show the way and take some of that weight off of him. But it is what it is. And maybe he will grow into it. The fact that, he had such a tough year, he was still a 4-win player, tells you how much more is there.
Yeah, my hope is that guys like, the names we mentioned, Rosarena, JP, Polanco, they play better ball, which takes pressure off of him. But there was a guy that was brought in Donovan Solano, who is always mentioned to be just a great leader. We rarely hear about what he can do on the diamond, though we have heard some things about what he can do, but they lean on his leadership. How important is a guy like Donovan to this team, and what do you think he's going to bring?
Yeah, he's not he's not certainly not a star, but he does bring a lot of what you just described and what I was trying to articulate with talking about Julio. I think they would be better served with a star type player who brought those traits, but we underestimate the meaning of guys like Solano. I think I've seen it too many times. I think the really good front offices understand the importance of what that quality is and what leadership means and what culture means. And I do think he's a culture shaper. I guess here would be my question. How good a player do you have to be to have that impact? And is that him? Is that the year he's going to have?
Hey, Jayson, curious about your look at the AL West as a whole. I'm so used to just saying, okay, well, there's a juggernaut with the Astros in front of you. But the last season, the Mariners were briefly in first place, and now I'm wondering if I should be looking at it as they're sleeping giants or like really in danger of losing a crown. What do you think?
I can't even comprehend the Astros without Bregman and Tucker.
Yeah.
To a lesser degree, obviously, Verlander and Presley, but we've got. I used to write this every October because I spent so much time around those guys. How many games that infield had played together in October? Altuve, Correa, Bregman. They eventually wound up going past the Yankees of the 90s and early 2000s, no group had that many players that played together in that many postseason games in the history of our sport. And, I read Ken Rosenthal's piece on the Astros in The Athletic today with great interest. And, I know that they believe that they're winners. They'll always be winners. That last year, falling 8 games under 500 and then roaring back to win proves what they are. But this is the year we find out. This is such a different group. I think the manager is really good. I do think Christian Walker was a great signing, but I do think there's an opportunity now for the Mariners, for the Rangers especially, for Sacramento to a lesser degree, and it's always hard for me to actually say that Sacramento and not say Oakland. The Angels are terrible, but I do think the division is more wide open than it's been really a long time.
Jayson, I'm from L.A., so as soon as you said Sacramento, I thought of Bibby and Vlade Divac.
Vlade Divac will not play for the A's this year.
Okay, deal. I'm going to the bank with that. Hey, you had an interesting piece that you wrote about. Mark Scherzer said humans should be judged by humans, and he was on the bad side of a couple of calls. Tell me about that whole experiment and what you've seen and heard so far.
Yeah, well, you're talking about robot umps,
yes,
and the ABS challenge system, which has begun in spring training for big leaguers, and it's been fun for me because I'm Mr. Rule Change. So I've spent a lot of time talking to veteran players about it and how they're going to try to utilize it. And the most fun conversation was with Max. I'd actually seen him a couple of days before that first start, and he approached me to bend my ear about how much he disliked the whole robot up thing. And then he goes out to pitch for the first time as a Blue Jay. And in the first inning, he gets challenged by the hitter, who was Lars Nootbaar. And then the next inning, he actually challenged. And I thought, this is going to be awesome. So, he immediately expressed skepticism of what we're going to accomplish here with this. And so the two of us, even though there's a group there, got deep into the weeds. I don't know if you guys remember Hazel May from her time on MLB Network, but she's now a sideline reporter there. She said to me afterwards, I didn't even know what you guys were talking about. He had challenged this looping curveball that was clearly below the strike zone, but he just wanted to see if the ABS system would call it a strike. So he challenged. So afterwards, I told him, in the previous version of ABS, that would have been a strike because the strike zone, the original strike zone that ABS used was 3-dimensional, meaning if a pitch ticked the zone anywhere from the front of the plate to the back of the plate, top to bottom, they would call it a strike. And they just basically baseball decided that wasn't the best technological version of this invention. So they changed it to a 2-dimensional version. But when I said this to Mac, he said, the strike zone's always been 3-dimensional. So I said to him, all right, well, you're just talking about for humans. For humans, it is still 3-dimensional. But for ABS, it's 2-dimensional. And that's when he lost it. And he said, where are humans? Why can't we just be judged by humans? And That's a deep existential question I'm not prepared to answer.
No, I loved a while ago when we were talking about, automated balls and strikes or whatever. I remember we had our one of our afternoon drive hosts, Dave Wyman, who said, like, I don't know, I'm kind of going to miss complaining about umps. Like there was something he was like, I mean, I kind of don't want to give this up. Like there is part of you that's like, I'm not going to be happy either way. I'm going to find something that's a problem and something to complain about.
Yeah. So you think we're going to go down to 0 ejections if this thing ever arrives in the big league?
Exactly.
I'll say no. Not. I'll take the over on that, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Speaking of managers getting ejected, a new manager here in Seattle. Now, he did have some time, Dan Wilson, at the end of last season, obviously replacing Scott Service. So he's got, 40-something days under his belt here. But he's otherwise a first-time manager and plenty of familiarity with the club. But Jayson, my question is less specifically about Dan Wilson and what you think about him and more about the challenges a first-year manager might face. Like when you think of first, even second-year managers where you think, God, this guy nailed it. What did they have in common?
Well, we've seen a lot of that, right, in the last few years, and especially last year. Pat Murphy in Milwaukee was basically his first full-time managing job, even though he'd managed or coached 10,000 games everywhere else. And Stephen Vogt was the manager of the year in the American League, and he was a first-time manager. And, we focus a lot on managerial maneuvering during games, but I felt like the quality those two guys had in common was they are leaders. If you're around them, like you are so aware of their leadership skills and the way they connect with and motivate human beings. And there's still no more important quality than that as a manager. And if you don't have it, the players know it. The players sense it. And, I do feel like Dan Wilson has always had that back to his time as a player. I like the staff a lot. I'm a big Kevin Seitzer fan, new hitting coach. I think he and Edgar will make an impact.
Called Get Off My Lawn. That's when I turn into just a grumpy man. And
it only happens one day a week.
One day a week, I just be man. And
it only happens one day a week.
One day a week. I just let it all out. And this week I told people, stop texting me about spring training performances because I love them and I hate them at the same time because I want to see it during the regular season. So I'm just going to be a hypocrite and ask you who stood out to you so far in spring training.
I've only seen 3 games. And I'm not in Arizona, so you won't hear me mention any Mariners, but like Bo Bichette had a horrendous year last year. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And he's been excellent. He's been awesome. He looks like himself again. So, I couldn't tell you what he's hitting, but that means something to me. If you're watching the stats, you should grab your stat sheet and go look at the Tampa Bay Rays because Curtis Mead, a guy they've been kind of waiting for to bust through, he's hitting 900. He's 9 for 10, if I remember right. Might be 8 for 9, but I'm sure it's 9 for 10. And how about this? The only out was he struck out against the guy he was traded for, Christopher Sanchez. I live for this stuff.
He is Jayson Stark, baseball writer for The Athletic. Make sure you're checking out the Starkville Pod. Jayson, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jayson.
Hey, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Abdul Carter says that a great defensive player can affect a football game the same way a quarterback can. Do you agree?
Mr. Carter, he's doing his best. He's selling. He is selling, and I ain't mad at you, bro. You go ahead and get your number 1 pick. If you can do anything to influence that, you do exactly that. But my young brother in Christ, you are wrong, sir. But I get what you're doing, but you are wrong, man. I went and I looked at just some ballers who get after the quarterback. You got Max Crosby, 14 sacks. The Raiders are doing nothing. Why? Because they don't have a quarterback, plus other things. You got Myles Garrett at 14 sacks. The Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They ain't doing nothing. They bought themselves an expensive quarterback. He ain't working out. You got Micah Parsons with 12 sacks. You got a QB that's getting paid $60 million a year, and that team isn't getting it done. And you also have T.J. Watt, 11.5 sacks. This dude's never even won a playoff game. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, 17.5 sacks. He's got a dope quarterback, but the rest of his team isn't on point. I get what this young man is doing, and I applaud him for putting that out there. But we all know, if you don't have a quarterback plus some other things, it ain't going to work. So saying that a defensive player affects the game the way a quarterback does, you are false. You can look at the Philadelphia Eagles and say, well, look what they did to Pat Mahomes. It was 4 of them guys getting after Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
You got 4 dogs up there. You can get after the quarterback. One player in most football games is not going to get it done. How many times did we see Pat Mahomes toss dimes to Scantling and him drop the football? There's a connectivity in this game that needs to happen. And I don't want to diminish his role, his position, because getting after the quarterback is like priority number 2. You got to have a quarterback. You got to get after the quarterback. He will be able to do that at a high level, but I'm saying if you don't touch the ball every single down, you're not going to have the same effect.
I mean, literally, as you were explaining it, I was just thinking, okay, who is the best quarterback all time that I can think of? I mean, winning is certainly Tom Brady, probably the GOAT. Maybe in terms of skill, you're looking at someone like Mahomes or some all-time great arms, like at their peak. Would I rather have that guy or the best defensive player ever? Every single time it would be the quarterback. I mean, would you rather have the best wide receiver or the best quarterback? Quarterback.
People consider LT the best defensive player
ever
of all time. He still needs an offense.
That's the thing. Would you rather have Lawrence Taylor in his prime or Patrick Mahomes in his prime?
Probably Pat Mahomes.
You know,
LT is a beast, though.
Exactly. And you can look at a player and go, Aaron Donald, one of the most decorated defensive linemen of all time, can't affect the game in the same way. Like, it's insane.
The D-line is better now without Aaron Donald than it was with him in L.A.
Crazy. Second down. Speaking of LA, when you look across the division, who has the most to do as far as re-signing free agents?
All right, so we talked about extensions, so I'm going to leave those guys to the side. I might mention one or two, but going across the division, you have the Seattle Seahawks. We talked about them, right? Are going to re-sign Jay Reed, Trey Brown, Ernest Jones is the big one, and then Hankins as well. I know he didn't put up great numbers, did have interceptions, but I think that he did a great job. With the Cardinals, you have Kaiser White, you have Will Hernandez, a guard, you have LJ Collier, crazy, man. He's still in this league doing his thing.
Good for him.
And then with the Rams, you have Tutu Atwell, DeMarcus Robinson. You have Roseboom, who's a very good linebacker who doesn't get enough love, 133 tackles. You go to the Niners. They have the most work to do by far, ain't even close. You got Greenlaw. Are you going to re-sign him? He's getting up there in age. You have Hufanga. He's going to be worth, his market value right now is $11.9 million. You have Ward. His value right now, $15.3 million. And then you have Campbell, the other linebacker there. He's 31 years of age. I say all that, and I have to remind you, Brock Purdy's going to get paid $50 million. You talked about it earlier in the show, Stacy. Niners got the most to do. I'm looking at what everyone else has to do. Every year, every team, you got to sign your free agents and keep the band together and let some guys go. But the Niners have the most to do, because if I'm Hufanga, I'm not taking a homie discount. If I'm Ward, I'm not taking a homie discount. And they're going to have to ask them to do that, because you have to pay this quarterback. The thing that might help them is Deebo Samuel wanting to get out there and get a trade. But Niners, man, they got some work to do. So let's close the gap on them.
Third down. What's another reason Seahawks fans shouldn't stress too much about Geno's contract?
All right, don't stress, guys. All right, I know you're going to see this number. You're going to be like, what the heck? $40 million, $35 million. What are you doing? Listen, the cap just went up. It is now $279.2 million, $24 million more from last year. If Geno were to get $40 million, that is only 14% of the cap. 14%. If you look across the league at the quarterbacks and their percentages of the cap, you got Joe Burrow, who's accounting for 24%. Josh Allen, 23%. Dak Prescott, 23%. Pat Mahomes, 22%. Kyler Murray, 22%. Trevor Lawrence, 21%. Jordan Love, 21%. Jared Goff, 20%. Matthew Stafford, right now, 19%. Kirk Cousins, 17%. Derek Carr, 16%. Baker Mayfield, 13%. I'm just saying, just put it in perspective for you. Don't be fooled by that big number that you are going to see. It's going to be 30-something, maybe $40 million a year. But the cap has gone up, and the percentage of the cap that he has taken up is nothing like some of the guys above him. There are at least 20 guys above him when it comes to that percentage. So I'm just preparing you guys, okay? It's like when I take my kids to the store and I say, y'all not getting none, okay? Just I'm preparing you. Don't walk into the store asking for nothing. I'm preparing you. This is what I'm doing for y'all, all right? Don't be alarmed by that number. It's only going to be max 14% of the cap.
Fourth down. It's just so sad. Why even take me into the store if I can't get anything?
Can't have none. Because I can't leave you in the car. It's too
now
hot.
I'm just letting
you're young.
It's hard. That's a hard truth. Anything stand out from our interview with John Boyle?
Yeah, I asked him about the running back crew. He says the Hawks like the 3 running backs, and they should like him. I think Kenny McIntosh showed that he can play some ball. I mean, finally, the Hawks listened to me. For 2 years, I've been talking about Kenny freaking McIntosh.
Oh, they listen every day.
And they listened, and they got him out there, and he did his thing. Zach Charbonnet shined when he had a chance, and then K9 looked good in his moment. So I like that he said they like their running backs, but there's no way you're not going to walk away from this draft with the running back. It is so deep. The other one that stood out, drafting for need instead of drafting the best player available. Hearing Boyle say that, and we talked about this and walked through this several times, they have to just draft the best player. They have to. So at 18, they're probably not going to get a guard. They're probably not. They're probably going to get a defensive player. They're probably going to get the top wideouts will be out of there. Maybe a tight end. Who knows? But yeah, D-tackle. But if we're talking about the best players available, we know that traditionally guards don't go that high. But who knows, man? I have a few more weeks to dive into my draft analysis and figure out if there is a guard who is worthy of that pick. But I looked over the last couple seasons, man. There's only been a couple of guards drafted that high in the first round. So Boyle got me thinking about it again. But I got some weeks to do some research. I'm going to dive in and see if I can find a guard that I think is worthy. But it doesn't sound like they are going to draft a guard at that spot, best available.
I've seen Ashton Genty mocked to the Cowboys a ton. I've seen him mocked in the top 10. I don't think he'll be available at 18. Maybe like at lowest 14, 15. But yeah. Ashton Genty was at 18.
If he's at 18, the rest of the NFL, you guys are fools.
Well, that would have been a massive fall.
All you GMs, y'all need to just give some money back to your organization.
Now,
Genty goes that low, that's crazy.
I do not think he will be available. I think he'll be a top 10 pick. However, the reason I ask is I think that the conversation about would you take this player is just more intriguing when that player is a running back, and he's just the first round running back I could think of. It's easy to be like, hey, defensive tackle, I could see the case. You want a ton of depth. But when it's a running back, you're like, wait a minute. Do I want to do that? Am I positive?
Especially when you have 3 that are,
when you have 3 that are good. When you've taken a first-round running back and it hasn't worked out, like, have you been burned there? Do you buy in the actual shift the league is making in terms of being, valuing running backs a little more than they did, or are you still hesitant to pull the trigger? I think it becomes an interesting exercise when you consider, like, okay, well, what if you know that player?
Right.
And what if that player set some records? Okay. Let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
We got Nuggets and Bucks on TNT at 5 p.m., plus Severance and the Traders new episodes as well. Hype Train coming your way next.
The John Schneider Show.
With Wyman and Bob.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Started draft meetings this week, so really impressed with Mike's interview process, and then flying the guys in and spending time with them and figuring out, who they are. But just really impressed with Mike's, the brain still, really clear, really intelligent, and knows exactly what he wants. So the questions are right to the point, real direct. So you always learn a lot, when you're interviewing these people. It's fun because there's a lot of respect for the Seahawks organization.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at SeattleSports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Music that moves your soul. Live at Muckleshoot Event Center, Thursday, April 24th. Get tickets before they sell out at muckleshootcasino.com.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. and the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here from my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Brock and Saw all this week from 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports.
Washington State ranks number 5 in the country for auto theft. The most high-risk vehicles are Kia, Hyundai, Ford F-150, F-250, and F-350. Help keep your car safe with these simple and important tips. Don't leave your car running unattended. Park in well-lit areas. Lock up every time. Keep valuables out of sight. Use an anti-theft device like a steering wheel lock. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. These tips brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Calling all pickleballers, Champions of Change and Safeway announced a multi-city pickleball tournament, including celebrity games with Seahawks legends Doug Baldwin, Mike Bennett, Cliff Averill, and more. In collaboration, Nourishing Champions campaign will be raising awareness and accepting donations to provide nutritious foods for student athletes in under-resourced high schools. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout. Open to all. The tournaments are in Seattle, Lacey, and Spokane. Register today at championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
from the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Get your questions in for What I Need to Know coming your way in 15 minutes. That number is 866-979-3776. Any questions, send it now to the Mac and Jacks text line. Also, if you're looking for the Mariners game, that is going to be on the alternate stream on the Seattle Sports app. Going to keep reminding, if you're looking for like a radio version of it, you just really want to listen to that, that's going to be a delayed game at 7 p.m. following Wyman and Bob. Right now, though, it's time to head to the station for Hype Train. Let's go. Speaking of the Mariners, we listened to some sound from John Morosi earlier in the show, Bump, who said, I think it's fair for fans to expect that the Mariners are able to sign Cal, Logan, and George Kirby to extensions. Okay, so you're going to have a version of that for Hype Train. The Mariners sign at least 2 of those to extensions in the next year.
You know what's great about baseball, Stacy?
What's that?
It's no salary cap. So if they really wanted to, they can get this thing done. But we know that the Mariners like to bargain shop. There's nothing wrong with bargain shop. You know what I did the other day?
Bargain shop?
I went to Goodwill. Well, let me see what's in here. Let me see. I found a shirt. It smelled funny, so I washed it.
That's good.
But I found a shirt, old graphics from like the 90s, and I found a gem. And I'm like, that's what's up. All right, but I don't want the Mariners to do that. I want them to take care of these guys, and I think that they're going to play so well this year. They are going to be solid defensively. The arms are going to be on point. Julio's going to get going. They're going to say, you know what? We have to do this, not just for us, but for the people. Okay, so the Mariners will sign at least 2 of these guys. Come on, get her done.
Bump is boarding this train, Curtis. The Mariners sign at least 2 of Cal, Logan, or Kirby to extensions in the next year. Second part of that's important, too.
Yeah, in the next year, Bump, I am picking up what you are putting down. Unfortunately, the Mariners are not. And I think they sign just probably 1 of the 3 in the next year. I'm gonna put my money on Cal being the guy to receive that extension because he's no longer with Scott Boras. People need to remember that. He is not with Scott Boras anymore. We get texts every day. Oh, Cal Raleigh's a Boras client. He's not signing an extension. No. He's no longer a Boras client.
Important to know.
So I think there's a little bit of hope there. Obviously, the comments that he had with Brock and Salk this week, same with Logan Gilbert, led to some optimistic views of that. So I think Cal's the one of the 3 most likely to sign an extension. So not Borden, because I don't think 2, but I think 1 does.
I'm not boarding this train either. I just think I worry the Mariners will drag their feet. I hope they don't.
Vibes, come on.
I know. Well, that's the way we should be doing this, but I'm going out of fear. Next train into the station. Travis Hunter, speaking at the Combine, said he wants to play fully at corner, fully at wide receiver, both sides of the ball. We have heard from Titans head coach who said he sees him as more defensive back. The Browns GM says he sees him as a wide receiver. It's still kind of a mystery where he's going to play. This is your Hype Train. Travis Hunter plays more at corner than receiver in his rookie season.
It's so much easier to line up and say, cover 3, deep thirds. Cover 4, deep quarters. Cover 2, I got the flat. Man up. Like, it's so much easier for guys to play defense, not knocking the defensive guys. They're the more athletic guys when you line them up with the offensive guys. So I think that's where he has to start and where he will start. But he will be on his Deion stuff. I remember growing up watching Deion with the Cowboys and see him line up at corner, then receiver, then return a punt. And it was the most amazing thing I ever saw in my life. Man, I love watching Deion do his thing. And I think we're going to get some of that with Travis Hunter. Guess who his play daddy is? It's Deion Sanders, all right? So it's his dad, a quote dad, because he has a dad, okay? But, you know, his stepdad or whatever you want to call him, dad. Mentor. No, his dad. He called him dad.
Coach,
He calls him dad.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on his Deion, but he's going to start at corner.
Travis Hunter plays more at corner than receiver in his rookie season. Bump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
Yeah, Bump, you know, all that football lingo was cool and all. Stacy and I have some of our own. You know, when I say cover 2, Stacy, you say
cover who?
Exactly. When I say cover 3, you say
cover me.
That's right. And you know, when you're learning the defensive back spot from us, it just simplifies. It becomes so much easier.
Yes.
I've been trying to tell our players this all the time. they need that buy-in.
Yep.
And if they see Travis Hunter do it, he's going to be telling the world how easy it is to play DB.
We actually have Curtis and Stacy teach DBs callbacks better than Bump Camp LLC.
Yep.
It's 1, 2.
How about you?
Exactly. okay. I thought you were going to say 3, 4. And I was going to say shut the door.
All right, there we go.
You guys got some work to do.
Yeah, he plays more at corner this season. We're boarding that train.
Yeah. I'll board this train as well. We'll have all aboard this one. I think he plays more at corner than receiver his rookie season. I would still love a game where, you just talk about like, wow, he has a touchdown and an interception. Will it ever happen? I don't know. I love that the possibility is there.
I'm sure it happened.
Did Deion
like
ever
in
do anything like that?
1902 or something like that.
I don't know. Curtis, I'll buy you 30 seconds if you know how to look it up. I think it would be so cool. We haven't really had opportunities to see if a player could do something absolutely amazing like that. And so, all aboard this one for like the best reason, which is, he probably profiles easier as a corner as a rookie, but certainly has the potential to do both well. Next up.
Couldn't find it. 25 years ago, Deion Sanders had a pick six, a punt return touchdown, and a 55-yard catch in the game, but he did not.
Damn, for the Falcons?
I think it would have been for the Cowboys.
Dang, that's crazy. That's probably the game I'm thinking about as a child. It's probably the game.
Yeah, September 98.
It's just video game stuff.
Against the Giants. He was with the Cowboys.
Crazy.
Like if someone told me, okay, so this is my dream player, he's going to be able to do these things, I'd be like, you're so stupid. Live in
It's
reality.
a video game. Is what that is.
Exactly. Hoosiers is the best sports movie of all time.
Hey, big ups to Hackman, but I don't think that's it. I don't think it's it. I think for me personally,
The program.
The program. That movie, you have no idea. I was taking my trips to colleges, and if it didn't feel like the program, I want to know parts of it. I ain't coming here. No, don't feel like the program. That movie made me want to play college football.
Bump not boarding. Curtis, are you boarding?
I'm not going to board either. My favorite sports movie of all time is Friday Night Lights. I don't know if it's the best, but it's my personal favorite with Billy Bob Thornton, Boobie Miles. That was a great movie. But Hoosiers is the best sports movie of all time. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up in that era when it was like a brand new movie and people were just like, oh my God, you got to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it is a classic. It's legendary. It's quotable, sure, but not my pick as the top sports movie, I should say, of all time.
No, I have like sentimental sports movies. Like I loved The Sandlot when I was little, but rewatch value now as an adult, I'd go with something like Moneyball. Like it's just, which is, I know that maybe that's a tired pick and people are going to be like, that's lame. But like, I don't know, different movies.
You like what you like.
You like what you like. And I recently rewatched it and it's just so good. Next and last hype train, we'll move fast with this one. Seahawks have a lot of decisions to make with their players. They make a trade before they make a signing. Bump, are you boarding?
Nah, because Geno's going to get done here soon. DK's going to get done soon. Ernest is going to get done tomorrow. So, nope.
All right, Curtis.
Tomorrow, I say. It's happening tomorrow. Let's go, Ernest.
Curtis, the Seahawks make a trade before they make a signing. Are you boarding this train?
Yes, I'm boarding. And I don't think it's going to be a name that we're talking about, though. I think it's going to be a minor move. I think Rayshon Jenkins, there was that report from Jordan Schultz earlier today saying that they've allowed Rayshon Jenkins permission to seek a trade. I think that might be what we see happen over the next few days. This is kind of the time of the year where you see a lot of minor moves get made, teams trying to figure out that salary cap. So I think Rayshon Jenkins, thank you for your service, but he will not be wearing a Seahawks uniform in 2025.
I'm not going to board this one. I think a trade is spicy. And obviously, Curtis, I love breaking news, but Bump, you just sounded so confident. You sounded real confident, and so I think you've convinced me on this one. Signing happens first. What I need to know coming your way next, 866-979-3776. Send your questions now.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires pre-postponed and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
The wait is over. Hey, it's your old pal, the Graz here, inviting you to come celebrate the grand reopening of Jackson Park's driving range. They are throwing a party and everyone is invited. They'll have new range balls, mats and targets, music on the range, and face painting for the kids, so bring the whole family. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well, that's right. Free Top Tracer all weekend long as well. How about free 10-minute lessons after 2 p.m., food specials, and of course, plenty to drink. All day Saturday, the grand reopening of Jackson Park's spanking new driving range.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. The treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. Swedish.org/Cyberknife Prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's first tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Sunday, March 2nd at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-little leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions in to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. What I need to know. What are your opinions on Dak Prescott's 2025 cap hit coupled with CeeDee Lamb's cap hit? I know that this is a Dallas Cowboys question, but I'm glad the listener asked because I didn't realize that Dak Prescott's cap hit in 2025 is almost $90 million.
$90 million. What's
CeeDee's is 35.4. So 32% of the cap plus 12, almost 13% of the cap.
Goodness gracious.
2 players.
Just call it half.
Just
call it half.
Might as well, effectively.
Oh my God.
My opinion is that that's a really weird contract. It's weird that even in year 2, right, of a deal, year 2, am I blanking?
Yeah,
that a cap hit would be that monumentally high.
My opinion is that's what you get. You waited so long to pay both of these guys.
And you didn't want to do too many years.
Yeah, like, come on, man.
My only opinion is that you need to have it pay off, or else it looks like just a really, really stupid contract. So pressure's on Dak, and then I could see a world where Dak underperforms and people are still just upset with the Cowboys. You know, he kind of escapes a little bit. What I need to know, as a former receiver, Bump, not Stacy, do you feel better equipped to evaluate receivers or defensive backs?
I feel like I can evaluate them the same. Because I know what receivers need to do to get open, and I understand what DBs need to do to prevent them to get open. So, I'll probably give a slight edge to receiver because I played it, but I don't think being a DB coach is too far behind.
What I need to know, out of all the Seattle sports shows, if you Frankensteined the hosts and producers together, which conglomerate would make the best athlete?
Probably the show after us.
Wyman and Bob.
Yeah, because Bob is what, a good 6'2". And
They're both strong.
Wyman has that grit at the linebacker.
Wyman and Bob. Wyman, former professional athlete. Bob, regularly does, I don't know, karate or whatever he does.
Here's the thing. I think Bob will look interesting running full speed.
Oh, I think that they would make, I think the Wyman and Bob show with Lefko, all of them mashed together. And I love that all our shows also have Matt. All mashed together would be big and strong, but slow.
We might make a dope center, though. Honestly.
Think I'm bringing us down to earth. We're 5'4". I'm just letting you know we are 5'4".
Those two have the size.
The bulk, yeah.
And Stacy, you have great
the personality.
Yes.
Now, if you were to pick one trait of each shell to then create a monster.
Oh, well, one of us just has to trade for either Brock, Wyman, or Bob.
Well, you could take like Brock's arm.
Oh, I see.
Bump's running ability.
My hair.
Sure.
I'm not offering anything else athletically to this conversation.
Yeah, Curtis Hand-Eye, he's a baseball guy. Matt actually played in the trenches.
That's right.
Thank you,
That's right.
That grit.
Warrior of the gridiron, Matt Nelson.
The warrior.
You stole what I was going to say. I love saying I'm a warrior of the gridiron. It's the biggest lie ever told.
We need more as long fingers, you know.
Hands.
Dave Wyman's dad strength.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving on. I'm just turning all of us into monsters. What I need to know. Of the various non-star players in the Mariners lineup, which one do you think has the best chance of producing like we hope they do?
Non-stars.
Non-stars.
Maybe like Luke Raley.
It's a good one.
Demo.
Another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Demo's been great as a utility guy. I mean, is he favored as your starting
He's gonna
second
have
baseman? Is it someone
that
else?
special stitching on his glove this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go, Demo.
I'm gonna go Demo. That's yeah. If I had to second someone else, I would say, I would consider most of your outfield stars, even Robles, just because you're putting so
They're
much
stars
on
in
even though he's
Seattle.
young.
That's
And
for
that's
sure.
what I'm saying. Shoot, has to be one of your infielders. Let's see what I need to know. Do you think the Seahawks will use the franchise tag this year? If so, who do you think they use it on?
Franchise.
No, I don't.
No, I don't think there's a need, honestly.
No.
You would
Ernest
only
Jones would probably be
your prime
the only
candidate.
option. But I
Right.
think his franchise tag would be like 20-something million, if I'm not mistaken.
Which,
for a linebacker? No, thank you.
Don't worry,
Well, and when you
he's
can move
signing
that cap
tomorrow.
hit.
Don't worry about it. He'll be signed tomorrow.
Oh, you heard it here first,
And we'll be fine.
reporting it here first. What I need to know: if you got to go to the combine this week, who are y'all peeping?
I'm going over to the quarterbacks. You got to go look
Yeah,
at the
it's
quarterbacks.
obvious.
Even though Cam and Shador aren't throwing, I'm still looking at the quarterbacks.
Jackson Dart, didn't he have like some amazing
Like
Senior Bowl?
Yeah.
I'd probably just out of curiosity look at some of the quarterbacks where it's like these guys might go higher than we think, but are still project quarterbacks.
Dart, McCord,
Milroe.
Leonard, Milroe. Yeah.
Those are the guys I'd go watch. Let's see what I need to know. Let's see. Bump, have you found the golf balls the pros use yet?
No, I haven't. It's bull. Get her done. I will pay extra. I'm already paying $60 for 12. Stupid.
I'm very sorry. What I need to know, since most of the roster has played together the last couple years, does familiarity benefit the Mariners this season?
No, baseball is an individual team sport.
See, I was going to try to go all optimist and be like, "Oh."
I need the catcher and the pitcher to be on the same page.
Yeah, that's about the only spot where you got to be simpatico.
Other than that, hey, when Julio yells, "It's me," move out the way.
I love the angle. I love the positivity of like, okay, we didn't add what we needed, but everyone knows each other.
We know each other now.
I like it, Texter, and I will leave open the possibility that at the very least, you can have like trust building.
Sure.
Come on.
I trust you not to strike out.
What I need to know, if the Seahawks and Mariners were forced to share the same stadium, would it be more fun seeing the Mariners play in Lumen or the Hawks at T-Mobile?
Oh, Mariners and Lumen, because the dimensions would be insane.
That'd be crazy.
You'd have like a 200-foot fence.
Let's go. Let's go.
You'd have 200 feet, and then center field would be like 600 feet. It'd be incredible.
amazing.
No batter's eye. No batter's eye here.
All right, you guys, that will do it for us. If you missed any part of the show, make sure you check out the Bump and Stacy podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or SeattleSports.com. For Michael Bumpus, Curtis Rogers, Matt Nelson, I'm Stacy Rost. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
There's a Twitter account, I guess, called Mile High Moments, and they found the video of Dave Wyman scoring a touchdown.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Who needs Elway when you've got Maddox to Wyman?
My pregnant wife at the time, she missed the play because she was going to the bathroom. And I guess my mom went nuts, and my brother was embarrassed.
Is that the one you said you went crazy in the end zone and you're like,
Yeah,
I didn't act like I've been there before or something?
They were like, yeah, act like you've been there before. But I haven't.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When you're dealing with business owners and the idea that they owe money to the IRS and they feel like they might be letting their staff down, and it just spirals out of control.
One thing I see with businesses, it's really tough because they have employees and maybe they're having a difficult time with the cash flow of the business. Then unfortunately, what a business often does is they quit making their payroll tax deposits, which is really about the worst thing you could be doing. I mean, it's a telltale sign if you're doing that. Hey, get someone that can help you kind of look at your business and see if things can be changed so that you can operate your business better and make those payroll tax deposits. Because let me tell you this, the IRS is on those right away.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, you have to call Greg Nunn of Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Discover LeMay, America's car museum in Tacoma. Explore 300 world-class cars, 100 years of history, and the Shinka exhibit with 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Thrilling race simulators and fun for the whole family. Visit americascarmuseum.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend